Hi, this is Anthony from That's a Lot of Camels and the Camel Cast. This episode is going to be a little bit different because there was conflicting opinions on some of the news stories, and that's fine. We're not psychopaths. We don't need all of our friends to agree with us in order to be our friends. But it does put me in an awkward position as an editor because how could I edit this and not influence it? You know what I mean? Like, of course, I could drop in. I do all the images, I do all the cuts, and it could very easily I could make it extremely unfair. And if I don't do that, if I just and even if I'm not intending to make it extremely unfair, like when I know my arguments, so I know what images will help, and even if I take a guess at what images will help their arguments, you know, I wasn't in their mindset, so I won't be able to get that 100% right. Um, and so it'll always be unbalanced in my favor, and I don't like that kind of thing. I think that they should be judged on the merits. So we're doing something a little bit different at this episode in that I'm not doing any editing at all. I've recorded this clip, recorded the podcast, and I'm just dropping them in one after another. Uh, no images, no cuts, no cleanup. That way, you know, there can be no arguments of tomfoolery. And well, I hope you enjoy. And you can still, there may not be a splash screen saying where all the timestamps are, but they're still going to be in the video description below. And yeah, I guess comment on what you think about it. I don't know. I don't really care that much, but you know, enjoy.
Woo!
All right, we're officially recording.
Nice. I'm all hopped up on fucking coffee. I'll tell you what.
Shit, yeah.
I'm not drunk this week, but I am caffeined out of my fucking gourd. I'll tell you.
It's a good way to be. Alrighty, so welcome to the Campbellcast. It be us,
Fuck off, nerd.
and
Well,
I'm just gonna start with my week. My week was pretty simple. I watched
Fucking
two.
hard open, baby. Let's go.
I watched two movies and played one video game.
One video game?
Yep, that's me. I am now
Damn.
more movie man than video game. What happened? What has happened? Anyway,
oh my God.
This is
so
a cinema podcast. Okay.
Haven't
so
you read The Camels Are
Officially.
Cinema Only?
at least for me, I guess. Anyway, so the first movie I watched on Brandon's recommendation was
Yeah, I completely forgot that you watched that.
It Comes at Night. And I thought it was like, honestly. I'm
I'm
sorry.
shocked that you thought
I'm
it was.
sorry.
But it's okay. Not everyone can have good taste. It's fine.
Oh,
I think
insult.
Wow, hard yikes.
I'm joking. It's a joke.
it was just really slow, and
I mean, I
which is
like
fine.
movies like that, so maybe that's why I enjoyed it.
It
Like, I
had-
enjoy slow burn.
Yeah, I didn't really enjoy the movie, but it had probably one of the craziest like third acts of any media I've seen. Like, good lord, does it go from like 0 to 100 in like the drop of a hat? And there were like there was a scene in the beginning kind of get you interested, and then like one a little bit later, and then it just goes nuts. Very The Road, very depressing.
Yeah, it's a difficult movie to talk about without like spoiling facets of it. It's like damn near impossible, in my opinion, to even discuss like what the first half of that movie is without massively spoiling it.
Yeah, the best thing I could say is you could watch the trailer and it will.
And know nothing.
Yeah, and because it doesn't go that direction like at all, too. It's almost like false advertising tier.
Oh, it is. No, the marketing for that movie did not do it justice, which I think is partially why it's so poorly reviewed. If you go look at it on like Rotten Tomatoes or something, because it's like the marketing was like, look, it's like a Conjuring-esque like horror blockbuster, and then I think people watched it and didn't get that, and then they gave it like 2 out of 10 on fucking Rotten.
Yeah. It was the slowness of the 2/3 of the movie. I think while I didn't enjoy it, it really accentuated the like ending, because it goes from like I was kind of checking out, I was
That's
kind
so
of like
interesting.
bored, to I'm having a heart attack via just anxiety, like just flip of a switch. So
It really is. It's so interesting hearing you say that, because for me it was kind of the opposite. Like, I enjoyed the beginning because of like the ending reinforced it, but I just like I really had a fun like the beginning shit is slow, but it's really great. Like, especially in hindsight, after you see like those last moments of the movie, even in the moment, like I just enjoyed the building of the characters and shit, and then seeing how it all winds up.
water down the wrong
I
pipe.
don't know. To me, it felt good.
Oh, this is gonna fuck up the recording. Oh god. Yeah, again, it's like it wasn't my cup of tea, but I wouldn't say it was bad. The other movie I watched was called Freaks, and it's on Netflix, I believe. And I highly, highly recommend that. I went into it cold, which I think is probably the best way to do it, because like the opening scene, I don't mind spoiling kind of this, because I won't give it the context it kind of needs, where it's like little girl, and this little girl is like, she's literally 7, like the actress, and she's one of the best actors I've ever seen. Which that alone is amazing. And so she's in this like shitty looking place, like all the windows are like taped down and like all that type of stuff. And then her dad is like a weirdo. So I was wondering if it was like a weird abducting thing going on or whatever, and then it slowly starts revealing the world to you, and the story is really neat. All of the actors do an amazing job. Um, it's not an abduction thing, but just the fact that like that I could watch the movie and be like, where is this going? Like, what is happening?
Is it like a Netflix original thing, or is it just on Netflix?
Let me double check real quick.
I'm just curious.
Canadian American science fiction horror film? Nah, not really.
Maybe it's just
apparently
on
it was
Netflix.
released in 2019, but is finding to get a larger audience on Netflix. So it was indie, and then this is kind of like its wide distribution. Which sometimes Netflix is the one that pays for that, so it could be kind of. You know, they stamp that Netflix original when they're just doing the publishing.
Yeah, when in reality they just kind of bought the rights to it, and it's existed previously.
But yeah, I strongly recommend watching that, because it's fun, it's neat, and there's a couple of cool twists and turns.
Maybe I'll check it out.
And then the game I played was
Big Titty Hentai Simulator. What?
Yeah, and then besides that, I also played Unfortunate Spaceman, which was yeah, in the games conferences we're gonna cover, it was one of the ones that were showcased, and it was free. So I was like, yeah, whatever, I'll download it. Looks neat. And I played it, and there's 2 game modes. One is like this objective-based kind of like horde survivor game, and that is trash. It is very bad. The aliens, like, they're very generic design. It's like 3-eyed, 4-limbed, like spiders things that like stab at you. It's like extremely generic. But like it's serviceable. The main strength of the game is the writing, because it's all set up like you're an employee of what is just called the company, and it has that like fake cheery demeanor when they're like obviously don't give a shit about you and are actually like in the second mission, Like the first mission, your like spaceship basically crashes, and you had to get a specimen before you took off. And then the very second mission, they're like after the crash and you survive. They're like, yeah, do this to live. You don't have to do that because you lost the specimen, but I mean, if you want to, like, this is how you live. The multiplayer.
It's like some outer world shit.
Yeah, the multiplayer aspect of it is great though, because it's a completely different game where basically you have to do several mini objectives to basically rescue, call a rescue shuttle and escape. And basically, one of the people playing is essentially the Thing. So it's awesome because all you have, there's no voice chat, so all you have are the limited emotes. Everyone has this like spacesuit on. You can't, like, your map doesn't show where other people are on the map. And even better is if you are the creature and you kill a spaceman and eat them, then you can just turn into that person. So if you blow your cover, you can then just switch to being another player, and you get their skin, you get all their effects and stuff. So then they're looking for a person that is no longer on the map, and then you're continuing to kill them as like the Thing. And the other fun thing about it too is that
that's very well implemented.
The monster's health and the spaceman health are separate. So if you suspect someone as a monster, it's better to not wait for them to transform, because as a spaceman they have half the health, which leads to situations where you're just like, you just blew their head off of your friend and then their body doesn't shift. And then you have to explain to everyone else via just simple emotion, like emoticons, like why I just killed a guy for no reason, and that I'm not the monster. I just thought he was, and I was wrong. And it's super. It's very fun. It's very silly.
So it has like matchmaking and shit. Like you just play with randos.
Yep.
Interesting. So I was gonna say, like, how does it work? Like in theory, if we all installed that shit and then wanted to play it together, do we go into matchmaking like as a party, or is that not a thing?
Sorry, what was that?
Like if we all installed the game and wanted to play it, right? Do we have to play like a private game, or do we all go into matchmaking as a party? Like, how does that work?
I haven't messed around with it too much. I know that there is a matchmaking, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, you could have it like friends only and things of that nature.
Okay, because as you're describing it to me, I'm like, yeah, that sounds really cool, like with the emotes and no voice chat and shit. But it's like the second you introduce like 4 people to the lobby that are all on Discord outside of the game itself, doesn't that kind of like fuck it up?
No, yeah, even if we all played it, I would say, yeah, we can't use Discord, because then, like, if one of us is the creature, like, it kind of...
It's very easy to be like, oh, I just got murdered by the guy. So if you see someone that looks like me and you know what I look like, that's obviously not me.
Yeah. Yes,
like, it kind of fucks the whole thing up.
A no Discord game. And the other thing about it is, so there's ranks that you get from playing, like, the Horde and survival
ranks?
modes. And that unlocks more skins for your character. But
there's MMR.
Yeah. There's also skins that are locked behind their pay shop. Which is, the game is free, so this is clearly their way to make money. And
of course, skins will always make money in some way, shape, or form.
And it's weird, it's like done on the Steam store, so I'm gonna guess you'll be able to mod your own in eventually. Kind of like how Warframe does it, where you have to, like, you'll have to pay Steam like $5 to get like a helmet or an emote. And that's kind of stupid, and it's unfortunately all over the game because of how it's designed. But
would you say it's unfortunate?
Yeah. Got him.
Yeah. God, I'm sick.
And that was my week. Oh, one other thing is, I hung out with my dad for a bit, and we were talking about like relative nostalgia. So like, what's nostalgic for me versus what's nostalgic for him. And he introduced me to this old ass show called 8 Man, which is hysterical just for this reason, where it's like an old like 50s anime, like when Astro Boy and stuff started to come to the West, and like Speed Racer and shit like that.
God.
And it's funny because like literally the whole thing is just on YouTube. You could just watch it. But the audio quality is hyper trash because this is like scanned from shit from the like 50s and 60s. But the best thing about it, and the entire reason he showed me, he was like, this would not be allowed today, is that he has like those old shows, that gimmick where he powers up. You know, like in the Mega Man cartoon where he had an E-Tank and like stuff like that. Popeye has a spinach. Fucking 8-Man has an energy stick, which is very obviously just him smoking.
Nice.
I have to get my power from these cigarettes.
Interesting.
And I was like,
product of its time.
Oh boy.
Quite.
Before people knew.
And we were trying to theorize, was that because like Big Tobacco was like, yo, let's get these kids to think smoking is cool, or if that was for like designed by a dad that was tired of explaining to his kid why he smokes so much. Dad needs this to restore his energy, you see.
Go get me my smokes.
And the main character is Tobar, which is robot spelled backwards.
Creative. I like it.
Nice.
The intro is pretty lit though. The freaking intro to the anime is him fucking punching out Godzilla and throwing him into space. I was like, oh, power plays.
Goddamn.
And that was it. That was my week.
Cool beans. Who up? Me? I'll do it. Mine's very simple, to be completely honest.
Just go for it, mate.
I played a lot of Dota again. I think I've been playing, I honestly think just hours spent. I think I'm playing a little more Valorant than I am Dota, just because of how it works out. So I'm kind of still on those two grinds. Just really nothing new to talk about. I think the only thing I haven't played any of it yet, but I think I talked about this last week mildly, but I got a lot of stuff when EA started putting shit on Steam, and I think I'm gonna play Mass Effect again because I installed it and I kind of want to do it. Small aside on that's kind of hilarious is, so like EA puts all that shit on Steam, right? And they put it on like Giga sale. I come to find out today, I think YouTube recommended me a video or something, and I saw it, that it's been a rumor for like about a month now that any day now EA is going to announce the Mass Effect remastered trilogy.
Well,
at some point, and now I'm a little mad because I just bought all three. I just bought all 3 games on Steam, including I also had to do some really dumb roundabout shit where they don't sell the DLC for Mass Effect 2 on Steam, but they sell it on Origin. So if you buy Mass Effect 2 on Steam, what you have to do is you have to take your CD key from Steam, put it in the Origin so that which just works. Like they just give you Mass Effect 2 if you do that on Origin, and then you have to buy the DLC on Origin because they don't have it on Steam. So I've done all of that, and now I'm like, well, they're going to announce the remastered trilogy, and I'm a little butthurt that I didn't know that was coming because I would have just got that instead. So anyway, I got fucked by EA, as EA tends to do.
Interested to see how this remastered trilogy look.
I'm excited. I didn't even know that was a thing. I might actually get that.
The fact that I just bought the 3 games, I think I'm going to start playing Mass Effect like as early as tomorrow, and I think I'm just going to say fuck the remastered trilogy because it's probably just going to be graphical upgrades. So I'm just going to play. I'm just going to start. What?
More than likely.
Like it's probably just going to be like, oh, it runs on fucking like, look, we redid the lighting and it's pretty, and I'm just gonna start playing Mass Effect like tomorrow, and I'm just gonna try to finish it. And then if I finish all the fucking games by the time they put that shit out, then I'm just gonna ignore it. I think that's my plan.
I just have them on my Xbox, so having them on my PC, especially with the new PC and the better graphics, I'm excited because Mass Effect 1 is hard to get through.
True.
Well, I don't know if
like,
they're gonna
you
touch
don't like
gameplay.
inventory management, the video game?
Well, no, just like on the, I don't know, maybe on PC it's different, but on the Xbox it's very rough just to get through. Not from a gameplay perspective, but from like load times, lag, bugs, even graphic issues. Like, it's rough. So if they address that with a remaster, very excited. I'll play that shit again. I love Mass Effect.
I mean, who knows what? Because no one knows what it means. I'm assuming it's just going to be like graphical upgrades, maybe some ironing out of bugs. I'd be shocked if they touched gameplay stuff, but who knows? Maybe they will. But like I said, I don't think I'm gonna wait for it. I think I'm gonna launch Mass Effect like tomorrow and make a character and just start playing it. So maybe next time we record a podcast, I'll come to the podcast being like, man, Mass Effect 1's not as good as I remember it being. Or maybe I'll be like, man, this game still holds up and it's great.
Ready for the last 5 minutes of the third one.
Yeah. No, trust me, that'll be on my mind the whole time I'm playing them.
At least you'll get it post-patch when they were like, "Oh yeah, shit, we forgot to address a lot of things in the original."
It comes with Mass Effect 3 comes with all the DLC for free on Steam if you buy it right now, which is kind of nice. What else? Fuck.
All of it? Damn.
Yeah, I believe so. I could be wrong. Let me go look real quick.
That's one hell of a deal.
Oh, maybe. I'm sorry, you have to buy it separately, but
Okay.
They're both on sale.
I was gonna say all the DLC. That's one hell of a deal.
I noticed this. I'm looking for it right now just to make sure I'm not talking out my ass. But I like how Mass Effect 3 is $14.99 on Steam. The same price as Andromeda.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I think it's hilarious.
Did they put Andromeda on Steam with like this wave of shit?
Yeah. And it's $14.99, the same price.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. There's a lot of people kind of going nuts about some of the Mass Effect ports to Steam because like apparently they do kind of still force you to use Origin. Like they force you to use like the Origin overlay when you launch it through Steam, and people hate that, but whatever. I don't really give a shit. I'm also kind of excited because like Mass Effect 2 is probably like I really love of the 3 games. Mass Effect 2 is probably my favorite, and it's probably one of my favorite games of all time. And somewhat shockingly, I've never played any of the DLC, so I'm kind of excited to do that. Which is partially why I also want to replay the whole trilogy, because not only do I get to just bang them out like back to back with the same character, I also get to experience the second game's DLC, which I never did. Even though I fucking love that game and I played it like multiple times back in the day, I just never bought the DLC. So I'm excited for that. Other than that, the only other thing I did, I watched a movie as well. I watched Midsommar.
Oh, nice.
This week. That movie's a fucking trip.
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know, it's made by the same individual, written and directed by the same guy who did Hereditary. And it's really, really hard, if not completely impossible, to go like in depth on it without spoiling stuff about it. But I would say it's interesting because I can't really talk about Midsommar without spoiling mild things about Hereditary, because there is some like point of contact and like thematic elements that are similar between the two. But it's good. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I don't know if I enjoyed it as much as Hereditary, but it's definitely good. I think a big problem with Midsommar is that some of the acting is a little rough. Like the main character is fantastic. She knocks it out of the park. Her boyfriend is rough. Like some of his scenes are a little bit of an oof for me to watch, and the friend of theirs that goes with them that he gets into like a bit of a conflict with over the thesis is also kind of rough. And the dude that pees on the tree is also kind of, basically everyone in the friend group except for her. They're not great in terms of in the acting department. There's a guy that pees on a tree. It's not good. It winds up not being good.
In real time. our guild got level 5.
Yeah, I saw that. In the
Are
thing.
you playing Dota right now?
No, he's not. But
Its
the
chat
cold
is
chat.
up.
Cold
And,
chat is always there.
Real time, level 5, boys. Let's keep it going.
But anyway, Midsummer's good. I didn't hate it. It feels like I can't remember his name. I think it's like Ari something or other. But it feels like that guy really loves. I can't even say it, but there's something that he likes a lot, and he clearly makes movies about it because he's done it twice now. The first time around, not so obvious. The second time around, extremely obvious, and he loves doing it. The second time around with Midsummer, not hiding it nearly as much, and its themes and like its plot elements are a little more clearly spelled out, in my opinion, than like Hereditary, where Hereditary kind of has this interesting like facet to it where you can question certain things about the plot because you can put it up to the thing it wants you to think it is, or you can put it up to like the name of the movie kind of has a double meaning without spoiling it. Midsummer doesn't really have that, in my opinion.
Well,
like
also,
nothing
to
quite
be
as
fair, Hereditary has that until it doesn't anymore.
You could say unreliable narrator. You could. I think you could. I think in the last few minutes of Hereditary, you could say that. There's an argument to be made for it. That's all I'm saying. I don't know if it's a like solid argument, but there is an argument to be made for it. Whereas Midsommar is like very clearly spelled out. It's a good movie, but it also feels a lot like he went. I really loved the last minute of Hereditary, so I want to just make a movie about that. That's like 2.5 hours long, or like more like about like that theme. And it's good. I recommend it. It's actually free on Netflix if y'all just have, or I'm sorry, it's free on Amazon Prime, I believe. If you have Prime, you just go watch it right now. It's a good movie. I give it 2 thumbs up. Good horror movie that we don't get a lot of nowadays, which is very much along the lines of like Hereditary and The Witch and stuff like that, where it's like slow burn and it's eerie and it tries to unsettle you, as opposed to being like The Conjuring with jump scares and ghosts that pop out every fucking 5 minutes, like your typical horror blockbuster kind of movie. So I really appreciate what this dude does with stuff like Hereditary in this movie, because I wish we had more shit like this, and we kind of don't.
Yeah. He's keeping that fort down fairly well, but we need more than just one person.
Yeah, we really do. I mean, it's basically just him and the dude that made The Witch. But then the guy that made The Witch went and made The Lighthouse, which I haven't seen yet, but from what I understand isn't exactly comparable to these movies that we're talking about. So like I don't know. I wish more people gave a shit about making movies like this that were more unsettling and more like trying to unnerve you with the cinematography and the depth of its writing, as opposed to just being like spooky jump scare with loud noises every like 15 minutes. Anyway, it's a good movie. 2 thumbs up. I think that's pretty much my week. I don't think I'm forgetting anything.
You like the slow burners a lot more.
I do. I love the fucking slow burners. I honestly can't stand like traditional popular horror movies nowadays. I think they're all boring as fuck. Like I see trailers for shit like La Llorona and like The Nun, and I'm like, I'm never gonna watch that.
Yeah.
Because it's trash. It's just every 10 minutes it's something popping out and going booga booga, and like there's a loud music stinger that happens to make you jump out of your fucking seat. And it's like, yeah, will that get me to jump? Sure. Will I be thinking about it for days to come after I watch it? No, not at all.
I like horror movies with a little more story to them. Like if it has a good story to it, whether it does a little.
Go watch Midsommar.
Okay.
Rob,
watch Hereditary.
You have Amazon Prime?
All right.
Do you have Amazon Prime, or someone who has Amazon Prime?
Yeah, I got a family member with Amazon Prime.
Good. Go watch it. It's a good fucking movie. It's free.
Free.
You'll love it. It's got a story.
I just don't like horror. I think the only horror I like is like Eldritch horror, and that's about it.
So then you do like horror.
It's the problem.
I don't know what that statement meant, Richie.
Even with like, jump scary shit.
No.
Like anything like to do with ghosts, I find boring. Anything to do with like, I don't know, like the monster flicks are like funny, but I like the bad ones because they're bad.
Oh yeah, a good bad
I'm like the complete
movie
opposite.
is something completely different.
I have difficulty. I'm not one of those people that watches like a bad movie and I get like enjoyment out of it. I watch like half of it and I'm like, what am I doing with my fucking time? I'd rather watch something that's like interesting and makes me think, and I'm not
the
laughing.
thing with those things is that I think all of it is a balancing act. Because I've watched a lot of bad movies that are just bad, and I can't even like laugh at it. And I've watched the ones where I laugh at it and I enjoy that for that reason. Like, I made you watch Johnny Mnemonic for a reason because that movie's bad in a very
that movie's a
way.
trip. It's definitely something, but it's not the kind of movie that I watched it the first time and I was like, haha, it's trash, and like I have no feeling of like ever wanting to watch it twice. You know what I mean?
Right.
I was like, haha, I got my kicks.
And even me, like I like a lot of slow burners. But It Comes at Night kind of bounced off me. And even like jump scares, like there's a time and a place for jump scares, but a movie that's kind of like just that. Like again, I didn't like the It movies. And they ended up making me laugh more than or anything. I don't know.
There are some moments from the newer It movies that are solid. Not a lot, but there's like one I can think of off the top of my head from the first It movie that's pretty fucking ace. And it's the scene where the fat kid is in the library and there's the old lady behind him. And there's like elements of that scene, without spoiling it, that you gotta pay attention to. But if you see them, they're legitimately creepy. Like that's a 10 out of 10 scene. The rest of the movie, I kind of agree with you. It wasn't like as good as people made it out to be.
I enjoyed the It movies, the newer ones, very much, but I never caught myself really being scared. Like there were some cool elements to them, like you said. I think one of the creepiest scenes was actually from part 2 with like the old lady. That was actually disturbing. That freaked me out at first because I did not see that shit coming.
I want to see part 2, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
I recommend to everyone here, I mean, Anthony's obviously already seen them, but to you two, like especially you, Richie, saying that you don't like, go watch a good horror movie. Like go watch Hereditary or like Midsommar.
I just don't find them interesting.
I think you would. I don't think you understand what I'm getting at. It's like a very story-driven horror movie. It's not like booga booga. It's trying to like unsettle you with what's going on in the plot, as opposed to being like, oh, the ghost is coming to grab your dick. Like it's not like that.
Isn't that just like, I don't know. See, like the idea of like, here's a movie that only wants to like show me these people being tortured, basically. I don't know. It just doesn't do nothing for me.
But that's not what I'm talking about.
Well, like you said, like it's gonna unsettle me. Like it seems like I've seen like one scene in particular from like Midsommar, and like it was weird. It looked like it was supposed to freak me out, and that just doesn't do anything for me. I don't know.
Okay, I mean, I can't make you like it if you're not gonna like it, but I enjoy horror movie plots that make me like think, and try to be eerie as opposed to being like, the demon's coming to touch your titties. You know what I mean? Whether it's the ghost touching the dick or the demon grabbing the tits, it's, I don't find that shit interesting. But stuff like Midsommar and Hereditary are very interesting. I highly recommend Hereditary. I think Hereditary is fucking great. I liked it more than Midsommar. Midsommar is good, but Hereditary is fucking ace.
Yeah, I really like Hereditary.
Stories that make you think, as opposed to just stories that are out to make you flinch in your seat for no reason and then leave you not thinking about them 5 minutes after you watch.
Though I'm definitely still a fan of just the good old cheesy
Velocipaster.
Yeah,
yeah.
Scary movie. Zombies.
Oh God.
Zombie Beaver.
Oh yeah, shit.
Those are just examples of good. Well, not good, but bad.
Air quotes good. Enjoyable.
Good. Enjoyable bad experiences.
I'm so glad that, I don't know when it happened, but I'm so glad that sci-fi decided to stop taking itself seriously. Like there was a clear
fucking Sharknado,
point.
Bro.
Yeah, no, there was a clear point. And again, I can't like pinpoint when it happened, but like
Big Ass
old
Spider
sci-fi
was really good.
old sci-fi movies, like on the Sci-Fi Channel. I remember when I was a little young boy, like I would always go to Sci-Fi and watch the movies. They always seemed like they were taking themselves seriously and they were bad. And then at some point they were like, nah, fuck it. We're going to like cut the budget down a bit and make them more like comedy horror. And I'm just glad they did that.
It was Sharknado. I think it was the moment. Like they were always putting out trash, but Sharknado.
No, it was before Sharknado.
I don't know. I think Sharknado.
Have you seen Ghost Shark? That's a pretty
Ghost what?
Ghost Shark.
Oh god.
Gatoroid versus Megapython.
See, for me, like that's when those start to go too far. Like, I don't know. To me, there needs to be a little bit of like earnest attempt that fails. To me, is funnier than let's make Zabad movie. You know,
let's make Zabad movie. All right, David Cage.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. Perfect example. I like David Cage, where it's I'm trying to make high art, but I'm just a miserable failure.
I'm failing at it constantly. Yeah. I think I'm heady and interesting, but in truth, I'm creating drivel.
As opposed to where it's like those people that are just like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if the Sharktopus fought the Megagator or whatever the fuck? I don't know. What CGI budget are we allowed?
Was a masterpiece. Sharktopus was a masterpiece of a crappy.
Hey, here's another recommendation. This just hit me now. Y'all should watch both Hereditary and Midsommar, right? Or if you want another fantastic example of a piece of horror media that's not just like spooky, touch the testicles, go watch Haunting of Hill House on Netflix.
Yeah.
Fantastic series. Absolutely
again,
good.
This
movie, it's a series.
I'm weird. I don't like. I hear that and I'm like, oh, a ghost movie. Like it just does nothing
Richie,
for me.
I remember we had this conversation back when I first watched it. You don't understand, and I can't explain it without like spoiling it for you. But you don't get it, and that's fine because you haven't seen it. But you should watch that show. It's very good. It's a limited series.
About things in a way that we don't like. If we like it, we say basically nothing.
No, I'm not.
I'm
not going to spoil it because it's really good. Like,
but
listen,
that's hard to convince people to watch it.
I know, and it's really unfortunate because then my friends don't watch the really good stuff. But
it's like how I tell everyone to watch the game and then refuse to talk about what the game is.
The Haunting of Hill House is not like it's like kind of a ghost thing, but it's not. It's more of like, without spoiling it, it's more of like an 8 or 10 episode like character study.
Yeah, it's more drama than anything else, honestly.
It's very sad. Yeah, with some horror elements. Oh, some very interesting themes. And it's super fucking satisfying, and I highly recommend it. It's one of the best things I've watched on Netflix, period.
Whose week is it? Where are we at?
Is that it?
Yeah,
is that the week?
I don't know. We got on this tangent.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go next if you're done.
I had mentioned that I was done, but then we went off on that.
Oh. All right. Well, my week was simple, very short. I worked like I always do. I played Dota like I always do. Played a bit of Total War as I always do, and yeah. I'm boring.
Simple boring.
That's fine.
Like, I literally did nothing else.
How dare you?
Thus having like a full-time job, even though it's not technically full-time, but they give me full-time hours.
Hold on, I ask you every week. Did anyone yell at you this week about Corona?
Yeah, kind of, actually.
Really? Nice.
Yeah. There was a lady who walked by with no face mask, and I had to get my supervisor, and then he's like, ma'am, it's like a law, you got to have the face mask. And she was like, no, it's not. And we had to like take her outside and like make her read a sign. And then she put on the mask. And then there was another lady.
Physically take her outside to make her.
Yeah, we're like, look at the sign. It says PA Department of Health mandates face mask. And even if they didn't, it's a store policy. So
people are stupid.
Yeah, and then apparently there was another woman. I did not have contact with this woman, but my sister did, because my sister sits outside and like does the count and makes sure like people have the masks. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there was a woman who would not put on a mask, argued with her, told her she was not trained right and she had her information wrong, which then she had to go get a manager, and the manager was like, no, No, she's trained right. You have to have a mask. It is the law. And this woman would not wear a mask, and she was freaking out.
Nice.
It's funny how it seems to always be women. The classic Karen.
Karen.
Yikes.
But
Bridget, didn't you tell me stories about dudes getting all?
Yeah, but they just like get pissy and then put the mask on and walk away. Like women will sit there and argue with you.
I saw Anthony today for the first time physically.
Oh my god!
Not
from your window, right?
From the window of a moving car. I saw Anthony for the first time, and he was taking a brisk jog, and he had his mask on. He was being corona safe.
Yep.
On his brisk jog.
It's super easy to do.
It is.
Put a mask on, people. It's not that hard.
And you know what? Realistically, there's a part of me that understands, because like my mask, it's just a cloth mask. It's not stopping anything. It's not made to stop anything.
It does, believe it or
not. Not to the effect that would be good, but I mean, it is enough that plus just fucking staying away from people and not touching and licking everything. It works out and it helps, and it really isn't that annoying. You know what? I had this thought randomly, so everything's a fetish, right? How happy are mask fetishists right now? They are on
they're just jerking
cloud
off, bro.
9. Yeah, they are
constantly.
They're having a great time. They get to just look outside.
24/7 calves flexing.
They go to the grocery store and have to hide their boner.
Fetish people are having a great fucking time.
They probably they probably don't even need to leave the car. They just drive into the nearest grocery store parking lot, and then it's free. Like, whatever your fetish is, imagine you go to the grocery store and it's just there.
God, I'm gonna be looking at people passing by the deli counter, just wondering now if they have a mask.
You look down and see the erection. That obviously
people are gonna be looking at me, and then I'm just gonna squint my eyes, and be like, "What are they really looking at?"
Man, my eyes are up here.
Yeah, instead of like at the chest, it's like, stop looking at my mask, look at my eyes, you pervert.
I don't know if I said this on the last cast, because I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I actually got this Monday, so probably not. I got my new monitor, finally. So I'm living the curved life.
Oh, nice. Yeah. How is that?
It's cool. It's not as noticeable as I thought at first. So, because honestly, I think curved is a gimmick, but
it's a gimmick.
This was a nice monitor, and I decided to get it. But now sitting down with it and seeing it, it's like, all right, it might still be a gimmick, but it's not terrible. I don't mind it. And the quality is cool. I notice a very big difference in like color quality.
Yeah, I'm excited for that whenever I replace my TV. I really want
because I was rocking like a freaking 8-year-old monitor, and this thing is just so much more powerful and better than what I had, and it's just whoa, the color just pops. It's
correct me if I'm wrong, not to cut you off, but isn't because a big thing for me with monitors, I play on a TV. I don't think I've ever said that before on the podcast, but I plug my computer into a TV as opposed to a monitor, which is cool because I have a nice big picture because it's a big screen TV. But refresh rate is obviously an issue. I'm not really experiencing any frame rate that I get over 60 because it's a TV, not a gaming monitor. But isn't Sony making high refresh rate TVs now? Isn't that something? I thought I heard that recently.
Yeah, it's starting to become more of a thing because
that's really interesting to me because I would kind of like to keep my setup the way it is with a big screen TV, but get a high refresh rate so I can experience my frame rates. But I currently can't do that because that shit doesn't exist.
I need to switch to an actual desk setup because right now I have it on basically a little dresser stand, and if I'm so far away from it, I need a TV. But I would like to switch to a high refresh rate monitor with HDR and shit. But I need a desk for that.
This monitor I got now is like I think like 144 hertz or some shit.
I will also need a PC that could reliably get to those numbers. I mean, I have a 980 in mine. It's not bad. It's fine to 1080 60, but
apparently Sony sells Bravia TVs that hit like 240 hertz.
Nice.
I didn't know that. This is actually an article I'm reading from like July of last year, so I guess it's not.
I bet you they're.
It's been a thing for
stupid expensive though.
Probably, yeah.
Rolling into my week, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't say I was done.
You did say you were done.
Just say I was done, boy.
You did say that was it. You said you're very boring. That was it. And then Brendan's like, "Oh yeah."
I mean,
oh, you pissed me off. I'm playing after this podcast.
Yeah, I was talking about my monitor, but let's roll into that part of the week. That's a week. Every week I piss Rob off because he runs D&D, but I always am like, Dota.
Fuck you and your Dota.
We didn't even do any contracts yesterday.
No, I got one, I think.
Oh, did it?
No, wait, we lost both games. Yeah, that's right. We got nothing.
Games, dude. So now we got, 2 days with no contracts? Hard, yikes.
Oh, we can't do that. I'm sorry, Rob.
You can suck the fattest part of my cock.
Hard oof.
Oh, God, it depends how long this goes for. Better hurry it up. I hope I don't drag it out.
Listen, we got shit to talk about on this podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
Robbie, just start talking. Just start talking, Robbie.
Anyway,
do your week, son.
Anyway, my week was filled with Legends of Runeterra.
Hentai.
Yes.
Legends of Hentai.
Legends of Hentai, you know, the basics. Otherwise, I was doing things like a little bit of Deep Rock, League of Legends, playing with a lot of friends, having a good time. And then having this asshole here talking about how he's going to skip my D&D session that I've been planning for all the fucking time for these chuckle fucks.
We appreciate you, Robbie. We just
I don't feel appreciated.
Rob, I don't think you appreciate the fact that there's a thing that's like cocaine that I can't shake.
I'm trying to help you kick your addiction.
Yeah, it's not how it works.
Yeah, so you're not gonna help.
Valorant with my friends here, other than Anthony because he for some reason doesn't want to download it.
Paranoia.
Do it. Just do it. Just do it.
Join us. Join us.
Paranoia.
You'll make 5, Anthony. We'll have a full team.
Sean downloaded it. He just hasn't played it yet.
Yeah, did you really?
That's good. We have a full team. You should join us for when one of us isn't playing, though.
Paranoia.
Yeah, that.
They're already tracking you, Anthony.
Shut up.
They know everything about
that
you.
That doesn't mean that I should get
tracked
more.
What you're jacking off to right now.
I'm not jacking off right now. How did you know
that? I don't give a shit what Vanguard reports back.
But anyway, that was basically my week, and I fucking prepped so much for D&D, and we're gonna play it tonight.
I don't know. We got contracts.
All right, so
I will leave this podcast right now.
I'm rolling into the news.
I blame Brandon because he eggs me on, and I'm crazy enough to do it.
All right, so there were a bunch of conferences that happened. Richie just booted Dodo, and so did Brandon. Don't you find All right, so oh god.
Let's go. What are we starting with? PlayStation?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll just preface it with that there was a several conferences. The PlayStation 5. Well, I mean, really, it was just Sony, but everyone was there for the PlayStation 5. There was the PC Game Show, and then we also watched the Future Game Show. Apparently, there's another PC thing going on where it's like what the hell is it called? But whatever, we didn't watch that one because who cares? You could keep track of all this bullshit. Oh, the Guerrilla Collective. But F that, we don't care. I've heard that's very disappointing anyway. Sentence structure. Sean, Brandon, and I, we watched and recorded PC Game Show and Future Game Show. So I'll probably chop that up and have like some lost episodes of our kind of commentary on that.
figure out a way. I don't know how the hell you're gonna do it, but figure out a way to sync like the audio minimally from those fucking things, and then just put it all up.
I guess
live reactions to everything. Fuck it, it could be like its own podcast.
But not that we really reacted crazy to much. Anyway.
There was some funny shit in there. I think it's worth listening
to. So let's start with Sony's. So the first thing was we got what the PS5 looks like, and it looks very strange.
Kaiba.
Yes.
My deck has no pathetic cards.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good edits out there already, and I recommend. I'll just be posting them. I'll just cycle through them.
Yeah, for this entire part of the podcast, you'll just be seeing a bunch of pictures.
Beyond that, they announced a bunch of games. So Playroom is getting a new game. Not that ever went anywhere, even on PS4.
What do we want to start with? One like concrete thing. Like let's like maybe we should start with the console before we get into the game, because that was big. Has everyone here seen the console physically?
Yes. Yeah, I've seen the physical look of the console.
How do we feel about it?
I like that it's not the UFO.
Like,
but it looks better than that horseshit leak where it looked like a strange building crossed with a spaceship. I don't hate it, but I also don't think it's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun. It's like, I don't really care what it looks like, honestly. It's just a console.
I kind of like its I want to say uniqueness, but it really isn't. There are many fans and routers that have a similar appearance, but at least for like a consumer electronic, it's very striking, which I think is okay. The main thing is it needs a stand, whether it's horizontal or vertical for some reason.
Yeah, that's the part about it I can't stand. No pun intended.
Looking at it, it looks horrible horizontal, and I think that's entirely because of just the weird fat add-on that is the disc tray.
It's the fact for me that it needs the stand, regardless of which way you put it. Like, especially when it's horizontal, it's sitting on that weird, like, circular model-esque stand, and it just looks shitty. Like, it looks weird.
Yeah.
It's like, I wish it was just capable of sitting flat on its own, which it obviously isn't because of its weird, like, split penis design at the top. But, like, if it was capable of just sitting on its own, it would look fine. But the fact that it can't, and it needs that weird like circle to sit on is just so fucking weird to me. I don't like that. I don't like the stand. I don't like the stand even when it's vertical. It just looks weird. Yeah. But it looks significantly better when it's vertical than it does laying down.
There is the stream only version that doesn't have the disc tray, and it looks a lot more symmetrical, and that one looks a lot better. As much as I dislike the idea of physical media dying probably within 10 years, it looks nicer, and it's probably going to be cheaper.
We've been on that path for a while, man.
Yep.
You've mentioned this before, speaking about the physicalness of the console, and maybe this isn't the console, but the controller is a straight up like Xbox controller.
Oh yeah.
Did we talk about that?
I don't know.
Did we talk about that?
I mean, not on the podcast, but we've talked about it like in private.
Yeah, it's just an Xbox controller, like straight up.
I'm worried about how much that thing is going to cost. It's really annoying to me that it has all these like haptic feedback type stuff and the rumble and stuff. I don't give a shit about that. Like, I almost always turn the rumble off. To me, like, the best controller ever made was the 6-axis, and that was because it didn't have rumble, so it was like incredibly light, because you don't have these two motors with freaking weights on them to simulate, I don't know. And even now, like, I use my controller for my PC on some games like Monster Hunter and whatnot, and when you use it like that, like, it has no rumble functionality. It doesn't, it's not programmed to speak like that, because that technology is fairly new, kind of, using a controller of that type on a PC. Weirdly.
I think that's just because you're using a PlayStation controller. Like, I get Rumble on an Xbox controller through my PC.
Well, yeah, I grew up on PlayStation. I can't not use the PS layout.
That's
And
fair.
yeah, fuck, man. I don't know. I don't understand. Like, you can make them so much lighter and their batteries last so much longer if it didn't have this bullshit.
I mean, I personally actually kind of like a weighty controller. I remember when we used to go play like Skullgirls sometimes at other people's houses, and I remember one time I was forced to use a PS3 controller because there was nothing else around, because the person's house we were playing at, like, they didn't have an Xbox.
Mhm.
And I hadn't put a PlayStation 3 controller in my hand for years before that. And I put it in my hand and I was like, I feel like I'm gonna break this fucking thing. I feel like I feel like just the one wrong move, I do a combo with a little too much chutzpah, and I'm just gonna snap this fucking thing in half, because I was so used to like Xbox controllers, and I still am. So it's like I actually kind of like a heavier controller than that like lightweight stuff. But the point is, this fucking thing is just an Xbox controller. Like, I'm looking at a picture of it right now. It's a fucking Xbox controller, like, straight up.
With LEDs. For some reason.
Otherwise, like, the
everything
console,
cooler.
the console is cool. It's just, it looks like shit laying down. It looks better upright. I just don't like this stand. It's kind of weird.
I want to see the specs.
We know the specs, don't we?
Yeah.
Do we? I haven't seen them yet.
Yeah, they've said they talked about them.
Essentially, it's a little bit weaker than the Xbox Series X, but stronger than the Series S. It's kind of like straddling that line. The main thing is it's
the SSD is what they're trying to pimp.
And it's more like, people just say SSD. It's not just the SSD. It's even the board's architecture, where it's like it is designed to move larger amounts of information and communicate it quicker from the CPU to the SSD. So it's not just the SSD, it's also like to the memory and stuff. The actual board layout is very unique and high throughput.
It's gonna be cool for load times and like loading assets and stuff like that.
Yeah, like
I don't think it's gonna, for first party shit, it's gonna matter a lot.
So for like console only gamers, thumbs up. But for PC gamers, it's still like, eh.
No, it's definitely good, because again, so like the main thing is it was outdone. We talked about this weeks ago. The laptop, the Max-Q. The Max-Q had a mobile version of a 2080 in it. That's like mid-high range. Like, that's the best you can get before you start going into Titans and shit, which none of us are going to buy that because that's overkill. That's stupid. So yeah, it could probably it could probably outdo my computer. It might be on par with yours, since yours is the newest.
That's pretty good.
No, yeah, and I think the biggest thing that people miss is that for console gamers, the shit is going to be nuts just because of the SSD. Like, they haven't had one of those.
So then we get to what we haven't seen yet, like the price. What do you think this thing's gonna be priced at for that power?
I'm guessing. Aren't people rumoring it's gonna be like 600?
I've heard everything from 550 to 600 to then like 1,000 and stuff. But I think the 1,000.
Oh fuck no, it's not gonna be 1,000.
I think those are shit posts.
Yeah, that's bullshit. It's gonna be like this is my guess, 600 for the one with the disk drive. Less than that, maybe 550 or 500 for the digital version.
Yeah, probably.
I would assume that's probably what it's gonna be.
But we'll see. I mean, I'm seeing rumors that supposedly the Xbox Series X is 700, and that seems stupid.
That's really high.
I'd be shocked, but you never know.
And then also that depends, where's the Series S, you know? It's like, I honestly think both Microsoft and Sony is just like they're gonna wait to the last moment for someone to post first just to undercut or meet that number, and they just don't want to be the first one to put it out.
have you heard the big rumors and tinfoil hat speculation that's going on? Because like Xbox showed the console off first, and it took Sony so long to finally give us like specs and to see the console physically that people are like, were they just like refining it in response to the Series X like this entire time? Like that's what people are speculating.
You can only do that so much because if they're supposedly releasing, you want to release these things around Christmas, yeah. And yeah, to ramp up production like that, especially in these times, that's like a huge fucking gamble. Yeah. It could be being done, but it's still a huge fucking gamble if it is.
Anyway, console looks weird, but whatever. Should we move on to games? Is there any games people want to talk about specifically? What do we want to start with?
I mean, so there's a lot about this that is just, I don't want to say filler, but like, I mean, it's like, we're not going to talk that they showed Fortnite. Like, no one.
No, yeah, no, fuck that. No, but let's get the mildly more interesting stuff out of the way. Like, I think they opened the show with Spider-Man.
No, they opened the show with Grand Theft Auto.
All right, well, whatever. I missed the very beginning of the PlayStation thing, and then I watched the rest of it. But early on, they showed Spider-Man. Yes. And I think that was like the first thing that people kind of went nuts about.
Standalone, right? Has that been confirmed?
Yeah, apparently
it's like standalone DLC. It's weird.
It was so weird. Like people were like, "Oh, what is it? Is it standalone DLC for the first game, or is it like its own thing?" Apparently, Sony's come out and said it's its own standalone game for the PS5. So I guess that's the case. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. I read an article that said that, but maybe it's. I have no fucking clue. But it looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of interesting to have a Spider-Man game that's Miles Morales as the character. Like, it looks neat. From what I understand, the first game people liked it a lot.
Yeah, I didn't play the first one, but again, I mean, like,
I didn't either. So it's hard to talk about it.
Well, I played the old Spider-Man games on like the PS2. Those were fun, and I heard that this was that just in, you know, the
modern
new
day
era. Yeah, so more of that is good. Miles is a fine Spider-Man. He's no Parker, but he's good.
It should be good.
There's been worse Spider-Mans.
I was very happy to see, and I guess this was rumored already, but I'm very happy to see that Demon's Souls is getting on the PS5.
All right, well, let's just jump to that. Dude, Demon's Souls remake is a thing, hard confirm, which is very interesting to me because we spoke about this on the podcast last week. Mm-hmm. I think about like for the last few weeks, we've been talking about like the Bloodborne PC rumors and shit. And part of what was bundled into those leaks was Demon's Souls. The leaks were literally like, yeah, they're making a port for Bloodborne to PC. It's also like a remaster. And also they're doing Demon's Souls. Same company's doing both of them. And Demon's Souls is being remade right now for PS5. I can't remember if they said PC as well for Demon's Souls in the leaks. If they did, that's obviously not true because we haven't seen anyone say that yet.
Speaking of not true.
Yeah, well, we'll get there. But yeah, Demon's Souls. I mean, we literally didn't see any gameplay. So it's like hard to talk about it, but it exists.
No, there's one big thing about it. So am I the only one who played Demon's Souls here?
I played it a lot, dude.
All right, cool.
Never.
I have a weird. I'll explain this really quickly before you get into it. I had kind of a weird relationship with Demon's Souls where I played it briefly at someone else's house, and I didn't really like it. It bounced off me really hard.
Really?
I couldn't stand it, and it shaped my opinion of Souls games going forward, where like I didn't play Dark Souls because I was like, why would I play it? I really didn't like Demon's Souls. And then one day Dark Souls was on sale on Steam, and I was like, fuck it, let me give this a shot, because I think it was like $5 or something like that. So I bought it, played it. This was like way back. And I fell in love with it, and I've been playing Souls games ever since. But something about Demon's Souls just did not agree with me.
The opposite, dude. I love Demon's Souls. I played the shit out of it. I picked up Dark Souls when it came out, and I just was like, wow, this sucks. And I never played another Souls game again.
That's like shocking to me, because Dark Souls is just kind of like, I mean, I'm sure there's people out there who prefer Demon's Souls, but if we're talking about gameplay, Right, but if we're talking about gameplay, one cannot argue that Dark Souls is not just a more refined version.
I can and I will.
But you're wrong though. Like the mechanics in Demon Souls are obtuse as fuck. I've seen them; they suck. Like the weapon upgrade system and all that shit is like bonkers.
No, but that's part of the charm. That like you literally
I
can't
guess.
upgrade your weapon unless you go to the secret blacksmith. You could miss the blacksmith that upgrades your shit better than the Nexus blacksmith. That's awesome. I like
I just
that
think
shit.
I just think Dark Souls is a more refined version of what came before it in terms of like animation even and like a lot of things in comparison to the game that came before it. So it's like for me, I picked up Dark Souls, played it, and I was like, this is great. I hated that fucking first game, but this is awesome. So that was my experience with it.
I'm a bit different than Richie in that I agree that I think I like Demon Souls the best, but I really enjoy the Dark Souls series as well. I've played all of them, but I'm also the FromSoft fanboy. I had talked to Brandon that like initially the rumors weren't just a remake, but just straight up Demon Souls 2. And they would have had me. I would have had to have bought a fucking PS5 for that. But this remaster, from what I've seen, no, I don't like the artistic direction. I think Bluepoint completely missed the mark. Of that trailer, the only things that I think looked good or better were the mantas and the gargoyles. Everything else looks worse, and not like a little worse to me, like way worse. Graphically, fidelity-wise, better. Artistic direction-wise and feel, worse.
But here's the thing: are you talking about the screenshots that you saw, or are you talking about the cinematic trailer? Because that's not gameplay. So like we don't know what
screenshots.
Okay, because this trailer itself, like you can't really use the trailer as reference because that we don't know what any of that's going to look like when you're actually playing the game.
And even with screenshots, the screenshots. I don't know how it's going to look in motion. So
right, that's
I will preface that. But there are certain things they do that is just straight up wrong. Like there's been a lot of scenes of Boletaria and it's like really overgrown for some reason. And the lore in Demon Souls, it's not like Dark Souls where you have to like figure things out. There's like one thing that you have to kind of figure out, but everything else is like literally explained to you by the Monumental, assuming he's not a lying piece of shit. And so like the entire crisis of Demon Souls literally takes place only like 10, 20 years. But in the remake, everything is like super overgrown, which wouldn't be the case because it literally like just happened. Like there's a lot of like weird changes that I'm not.
Do you think Bluepoint is just like we're remaking Demon Souls? Maybe we didn't get the point and we're just doing it like a Dark Souls? Do you think that's what's happening?
I think a little bit, which is fine because there's a lot of mechanics that and this is one of the things that I think it'll only bother me. And that's just because, anyone who didn't play Demon Souls, they're not going to notice that things are overgrown and be like, this is bad. Like,
no, they'll play it. A lot of people are going to play this game who never played Demon Souls.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of people playing this game that came in on Dark Souls, and they're going to be like, oh, this is good. It's like my Dark Soul.
Mm-hmm. And it is a remake, so who knows what else they're changing. The biggest thing is in the cinematic preview, they showed a snowy location.
Yeah.
In Demon Souls, there isn't a snowy location. There were 5 archstones, which each the way Demon Souls works is it was more kind of instanced, where you would it was a lot more linear. You would go to each of these archstones. Each one had like 4 bosses and sections in between, so you could split it up as like 1-1, 1-2.
It's not to super cut you off, but like, wasn't there one that was broken?
Correct. So
yeah,
there was a broken one, the Archstone of the Giants, the 6th one, and later leakers, well, not leakers, but what do you call it when you like dig through game files?
Data miners?
Yes, they were able to find that most of that Archstone was done. It just wasn't implemented and it wasn't polished. So there's enemy designs, there's location designs And yeah, in the data mine stuff, it was a snow location. And in the cinematic trailer, the first thing they show off is a snow location. So that's very strong indicators that in this remake, the Archstone of the Giants is going to be a place you can visit.
They're actually going to make that zone.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
But yeah, we'll see how it shakes out. I mean, they did the Ico remakes, and like, there's a little bit. Some people complain about them here or there, but for the most part, it was fine. It was serviceable.
I mean, Bluepoint has a history of doing good work for the most part. So, like, I'd be shocked if this remake was bad. I don't think it will be. I'd be willing to guarantee it's not going to be bad. It's probably going to be fun.
Yeah.
To what extent they're going to change the game, I don't know. I'm actually kind of curious to see, but it's probably going to be fine.
And
a little disappointed that it's not like coming to PC or anything like that. Sony very clearly still holding on to their shit and only putting stuff on PC like 3 years after its initial launch, which is kind of depressing, but Sony's gonna Sony, you know?
Yeah. Besides that, I mean, we saw some gameplay of Ghostwire Tokyo.
Yeah, that was neat.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. It's the first we've seen of it. There's not too much to talk about, but it's shocking that it's a first-person shooter.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that coming at all. I thought it was going to be like another Shinji Mikami, like behind the back, you know, like RE4 kind of style of horror game. I thought that's what I was in for, and it turns out, no, it's like a spastic horror-themed action shooter.
Yeah, very interesting.
Kind of crazy. I wasn't seeing that shit coming at all. I really don't know what to think about it because we saw very little. It looks neat. I hope it's not trash.
What other stuff is?
Talk about Godfall. Does anyone here even remotely give a shit about Godfall?
I saw like
I don't.
a trailer or whatever. I don't know much about it.
I like the aesthetic. I don't think I'm gonna get or play it.
I said this to Anthony when we were watching because in the I think it was the Future Gaming show, which we'll get to at some point.
Yeah, a lot of these games show up for each one.
Yeah, well, not so much in the PC gaming one, but in the Future Gaming event, they actually showed some Sony stuff that also is coming to like PC and shit, like Godfall. Because apparently, unbeknownst to me, I never would have known this from watching the Sony event. Godfall is apparently also getting a PC port. Fucking news to me. Sony clearly not wanting you to know that during their reveal event. They just want you to know that it's coming to PS5, which is fine. I get it. It's business. But apparently it's also coming to PC. And I don't really care for it personally. I think it looks very... This might sound kind of harsh, but it feels kind of like uninspired. Like the art style doesn't really do it for me. It's like, it looks like it's... I made this joke to Anthony that as we were watching them like go around like doing the hack and slash stuff, and it's like clearly got like a looter shooter-esque vibe to it, but without the shooting and with like the melee combat. I was like, this just looks like Sony's Too Human. It looks like a more polished version of Too Human funded by Sony for PS5 and with like a constant like online like loot aspect to it. That's what it looks like, and I don't really care. Like I'm not interested in it, even though it's coming to PC, which means I could play it in theory. I don't. It's like something about it is just like bouncing off me fucking hard. Maybe it's because I got like looter shooter fatigue, and I'm kind of sick of people riding that train. But I don't know. If you're into that, it looks okay. I guess combat looks kind of repetitive. I don't know if anyone else saw the combat.
Yeah.
Other than Anthony,
I did not.
It looks a little spammy. It looks fine. It's like canned combos and stuff. Not the worst.
I very much enjoyed, and people were saying this was going to happen anyway, the Horizon 2 trailer.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if we want to jump into that. I was honestly going to save that shit for last because I feel like that was the best part of this show. Like, Horizon 2 is one of the better reveals. That and RE8.
Yeah.
Horizon 2 trailer was honestly pretty tight. I after seeing that trailer, I was like, I think when the first one comes out on Steam, which it's supposed to, like this summer, I think I'll pick it up and I'll play it.
Horizon Zero Dawn was always a game I looked at and I'm like, man, I want to play it, but I never did, which is strange because we have a PlayStation here.
Yeah,
Like,
well, it's coming out on Steam.
To buy the game.
Yeah,
it's coming out on Steam like any month now. It's literally listed summer 2020. So
I heard
when that happens,
the game. I never actually played it, but I heard it wasn't that long of a game.
I just like that aesthetic, man. Robot dinosaur, cavemen versus robot dinosaurs. Why not?
The trailer for 2 was very nice. I thought it was well put together. It definitely kind of sold it to me.
Yeah,
of everything, yeah, Robot Mammoth was cool. Of everything in the show, it was like that and RE8 that I think kind of stole it.
Kena Bridge of Spirits looked all right. I mean,
Kena's cool if you're into that.
It's basically DreamWorks Pinkman, you know?
Yeah, it's the token cute but maybe dark game is how I saw someone describe it in Twitch chat when they revealed it, and I was like, yeah, that is what that is. It's like the token, like Ori style game, you know, where it's like cutesy, but it's clearly also going to be like mildly depressing.
Pragmata
it's just that.
Looked interesting. I'm just kind of
Pragmata was sick.
I think look interesting.
Pragmata was sick, but it's hard to talk about because we saw like almost nothing. I think the best way to describe
is that you play the guy from Kojima Studios logo, and
yeah, you play as Death Stranding,
with, like,
man.
A robot loli and a robot cat, I guess, maybe.
It appears that the implication is that somehow the girl fabricates stuff. She's basically like a living 3D printer. And somehow that's tied to the thing that your character, I assume that's your character, is holding, unless you play as the small fabricator girl. Who fucking knows? Highly doubt that's the case.
Stray was my aesthetic. Robot cat in robot place.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that trailer and I was like, it's interesting. Control a cat, I assume. Walk around post-apocalyptic. Humans are all dead and robots own the Earth now.
Homeless robots, dude.
Yeah, why do the robots need rags? What's up with that? Why do they gotta be warm? Do you think about that?
No, you don't. It's for the
weird.
visuals only.
A little strange. You know what was my hardest oof of the PlayStation thing?
What?
Returnal. Do you remember Returnal?
I don't.
Okay, so it's the one that opens up, and this is why it's my hardest oof, because it started out really interesting. It's like that, like middle-aged looking kind of woman. She's in like a spaceship, and she's like crashing towards a planet.
Yeah,
and she's
Stranding.
Yeah, and it starts out really cool because she's like, every day I crash. The same thing happens. I crash. I get out of the ship. I'm on some planet. I'm attacked by some alien. I die. I wake up, and it happens over and over again. It's like a live, die, repeat thing. And and as she's explaining that, you're seeing these like snippets of things. So at one point, you see this very like Geiger-esque like little alien creature, and then you see this like floating orb that's like housed by all this alien architecture, and it's like made of like some kind of black goo liquid. And the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, this is really cool. It's like some Eldritch shit. This is like some Lovecraft stuff, right? And then she's just like, and every day it happens, and there's aliens, and it's crazy. And then it hard cuts at like one point. She like wakes up, and it hard cuts, and it becomes like a third person shooter, where she's just like running around shooting shit, and it becomes like instant bullet hell. There's like a giant alien that comes with like a tentacle arm, and she has to start fighting it, but she's fighting it like it's fucking Gears of War, but like fast paced, like without the cover, and just like she's rolling around and like dodging shit. And I was like, whoa, you had me with the mysterious stuff, and then it turned into like run of the mill run and gun. And that was really disappointing, to be honest.
Sackboy: A Big Adventure is just Sony's Mario. I mean, I guess let's start talking about Resident Evil 8. Everything else, Gran Turismo 7, that's cool.
We should talk about RE8. RE8's a big one, and I think it's big because a lot of what we talked about on this podcast regarding leaks for RE8 wound up being true.
Oh, I wanna say one more thing. Is Destruction All Stars looks very fun. I don't know why. I miss vehicle combat games. And this is like the closest thing.
What were you gonna say?
This is like the closest thing to like bringing back vehicle combat. It's fun that you could get out of the car and then you have to jump and dodge cars and probably get into another car. Like, it's fun. It looks fun.
When they were first showing it off, I was like, "What the fuck is this? I'm not sold. Like the character designs are kind of weird. Like, is this Sony's Flutnut or something?" Mm-hmm. And then it turned into combat, and I was like, I was kind of sold. I was like, "Cool. Someone remembers Twisted Metal."
Yeah.
It was neat. But anyway, Resident Evil 8.
Yeah.
Kind of cool, because like I said, all the leaks were true. Pretty much. I believe back we talked about this like a month ago, or more than that, maybe. Probably more than that. I think we were physically still doing this. We weren't in Chronopocalypse yet when we talked about this. And the leaks and rumor were that it was going to be like kind of RE4-ish in its structure, where you start in like a village and you're in the woods, and then you move to like a castle, and like the enemies would be very werewolf-esque. Like they would be BOWs that basically are just people mutated into like werewolves
and vampires,
like
too.
Creatures, yeah, and like weird vampire stuff, and all of that appears to be true, which is interesting because, small aside, that leak came from the guy who also leaked the Silent Hill stuff, and it's all real. So interesting little side note, but I liked it. I think it looks neat. I think Chris's new fucking the trailer was a little rough around the edges because there's moments where the frame rate clearly eats shit.
Oh yeah.
And if you look at the release date, it says 2021 tentative in parentheses. So who fucking knows when we're actually going to get that game? It could be 2022. But it looks good. Like I'm impressed by. I like the change in. I'm happy that they're sticking to what works. You know what I mean? That it's like still first person survival horror. It's clearly still trying to be kind of spooky. The woods thing is a really neat like aesthetic, and I think Chris being like a rogue Punisher-esque character for like, but like with bioterrorism, is a very interesting direction to take that fucking character.
Yeah, because it's set up like he says sorry, and then he just murders Ethan's wife super hard. So it's gonna be interesting because like I suspect he's not actually evil. Like a lot of people are like, oh, new villain Chris.
That's what I had said to you too, is that I highly doubt they're making Chris like a bad guy.
No.
It's going to be the thing where you get to the end or like the midpoint of the game, and it's going to be like, oh, big reveal. Chris murdered Mia for a reason.
Yeah, it's the classic.
There was a demon biofetus in her fucking.
Yeah, it's the classic trailer bait. Because it happened even in RE4. There's that one scene where, you know, Leon, the parasite kind of kicks in and he starts choking Ada. That was in the trailer, and people were like, what was Leon choking Ada? And then it was like the most minor thing in the world. Granted, that's just choking someone. In this, Chris straight up murders.
In this he does bodies her.
He just
like hard bodying, like removed from the plot definitively.
Yeah.
It's rough.
But yeah, it'll be neat to see. I liked all the designs. All the characters look crazy. The vampire bitches, Van Helsing sunglasses man, the werewolves look sick. The villagers look, you know, properly like a little off, as anyone in a terrible werewolf land will be.
Yeah.
I think Ethan is the first mainline protagonist to back.
God, hold on. Now that you say that,
I really can't think of any others.
I mean, do you count 6? Because if you count
technically,
6...
well, yeah, but 6 had multiple protagonists, so technically, Chris was in 5, and he was also one of the player characters in 6.
Now, hold on. I can't remember what the release date of like Revelations games were, so maybe those were between 5 and 6. So if you count those, then maybe not. But if you're not counting Revelations, you're just counting like mainline games. And if you count 6, then maybe that.
Yeah, so kind of Chris, but definitely Ethan.
But still, yeah, definitely Ethan.
He's single, ladies.
He's single. I liked what they were explaining in the little like dev interview that they did about the game. They were kind of explaining a little bit about like how the gameplay is going to work, and they didn't go like super in depth on it, obviously, but it sounded like from what they were alluding to, they were like, yeah, dude, the village is going to be this thing. You're going to creep around and you're going to like discover shit in the village, and it's going to be this really like unsettling area that you kind of like uncover mysteries in and shit. And from what they were explaining, it sounds like maybe the village isn't going to be like a linear thing where it's like zone to zone to zone, like an RE4-esque kind of thing. It sounds like maybe it's just going to be a big area that you walk around in and like, you know, bring puzzles, relevant item to this spot to create progress. And then, you know what I mean? And like recall like what is where in the village and like constantly be looking at your map. Like it might not be a super linear experience, but who knows? Because we don't know shit. I'm just inferring things from what they said in the interview. Yeah. But I'm very excited for it. I'm very excited for it. I hope it comes out sooner rather than later.
Just listening to you guys talk about it, I haven't really been paying attention to it. I just kind of looked up some stuff now. I haven't really paid attention to Resident Evil since 4, and I realize there's been a large gap of time since 4.
Absolutely.
What's with the whole, like, hey, here's a village, there's, like, werewolves and shit?
We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
So, like, that's completely new?
Yeah,
so
that's all 8. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's what's up. Here's the plot of 8 as far as we know, right? Now, this is coming from someone who still hasn't... I've played through like 3/4 of 7. I still need to fucking go back and finish it, which I think I'm going to do soon to prepare for this game coming. But 8's plot is like you play as Ethan again from 7. And from what we know from their blog post, it's like Ethan gets out of 7 and everything's great. And him and Mia go live a great life to try to forget about all that horrible shit that went down in 7. And then one day, Chris just breaks into his house and kills his wife. And then somehow that leads Ethan to the village. Like, I don't think the game starts in the village. Ethan winds up there as a result of Chris, like, murdering his wife.
Really, the only relevant thing from 7 that should probably be mentioned is Umbrella is now Umbrella Blue, which is staffed by the good guys to hunt down any rogue Umbrella agents. They're trying to take it back, which is stupid, but whatever.
We're taking it back.
And
okay.
And so that's what Chris works for, and I think he offers Ethan a job at the end of 7. I'm not sure, but he shows up at the end of 7, and then now time skip, and he's murdering Ethan's wife, and everyone's like, "What the fuck's happening?"
And again, haven't really kept track since 4. I know like 5. Doesn't 5 take place in like Africa or some shit with Chris?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's going on with the T-virus? Is it still just Zambos and weird mutations, or now we're getting werewolves?
We haven't been on the T-virus in a while.
T-virus has been not a thing for years.
G-virus. There's another. I think there's a third virus as well.
T-virus.
C-virus. What was Evelyn?
That was
the
just
mold or whatever.
Yeah, it was something.
You're talking about
different.
7 once again. I haven't finished 7, but like I know it's called the mold.
I thought it was another brand of virus.
What Resident Evil game have you been playing, Rob? I haven't seen you play like any Resident Evil.
I keep up on it.
Keeps up on it. He watches his lore videos on YouTube.
Yes, I am a fan of Resident Evil, even though I kind of suck at them.
I think it's safe to say that the mold from Resident Evil 7 is certainly not like a natural strain. It was fucked with, but I don't think it's a new virus.
T-virus just died in 3, right? Like that never came back. Was it T-virus in Code Veronica?
No, it was. I think it was the Veronica virus. I think that was the whole.
Oh, okay.
T-Veronica. Yeah, that's what it was called.
Because I was gonna say there was still basic zombies in Code Veronica, so I couldn't remember if like T-virus was involved or not.
That's the problem with viruses, is that you can mutate them. You could come up with all sorts of bullshit, and then there was parasites.
Especially when it's all
there's like
fake pseudoscience.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Like anything that can infect a
I'm
human,
so
you can
lost.
just say that there was science done.
I'm so lost,
bro. Every
zombies.
This is all you got to know.
I know 4 was like weird, like parasites. That I know.
Yes.
But I thought I don't know.
Richie,
I don't know.
it doesn't matter. There's werewolves now. Who cares how we got
which
to
means I have to play it.
Yes.
Well, from what we understand in 8, all this like werewolf shit is still an offshoot of like the mold from 7.
Really? Okay.
That's what I read. I read that, and I think it's in their blog post. They say that, or it's in the dev interview that it's like it has something to do with the shit from 7. But for some reason now it's turning people into werewolves, and I don't know why. Instead of like weird jelly creatures that come out of the walls.
You gotta think of it. Even like fucking the T virus. Eventually, regular zombies become crimson heads, become lickers. Like these viruses are silly. So given time, they will become more silly.
Those Lictor things were fucking scary.
I just don't know what happened. There were zombies, now there's werewolves. I'm so confused.
There were always hunters, my dude.
That's true. Werewolves are basically just hunters without the scales.
They replaced lizards with wolves.
Yeah, scalies to furry.
There were mad scientists who was like, yeah, we got giant frogmen murderers. What if we made them wolfmen murderers? Science.
What were you gonna say, Rob?
Those things fucking scared the shit out of me.
Hunters?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they sucked.
Yeah, hunters are horrendous.
Oh, let's move along. We're running out of time. There was a Ratchet and Clank game. Looks good. That's done.
Wait, is that the one with like the new waifu freaking Ratchet and Clank thing?
Yeah,
yes.
Fucking gender swapped
Ratchet. New furry bait.
Everyone's gonna drop.
Literally on Twitter, the designers were like, "We knew it was gonna happen when we released this character, and it fueled us to design it better."
That's bad.
No, that's great. It's the best.
This fueled us. The fact that we were making furry bait.
Yep.
It fueled us.
Give us the porno, please, boss.
Next one was PC Game Show. They managed to just fuck themselves because Persona 4 Golden just showed up on stream before they announced Persona 4 Golden coming to PC.
No. Steam, you mean?
Yeah. What'd I say?
Yeah. It's stream.
Oh, shit. Oh, well.
But yeah, on Steam, it like showed up. Sean actually alerted us to it as we were watching it. He was like, "Hey, by the way, Persona's on Steam right now," and they hadn't even revealed it yet, which is fucking hilarious.
Let's not beat around the bush. The PC Game Show was extraordinarily forgettable.
I mean, it's what it is. Yeah, it's what it is every year. It's a lot of indie stuff. A lot of people, my fucking link to the show isn't working, like the list of games.
Oh.
But I got it. There was some they showed off like the Elite Dangerous shit, but they basically didn't explain anything about it. There was a fuckload of indie stuff. I think the only like cool stuff about the PC gaming show was obviously Persona, but they fucked that up. And the New Blood.
Oh yeah.
The New Blood's publishing. I learned about a bunch of shit I didn't know about. Like Maximum Action looks kind of sick.
Mm-hmm. Gloomwood, which is supposedly a spirit, is inspired by Thief.
Yeah.
The Blue Blood section, or New Blood, goddammit. I keep doing that. That was definitely like the best part of the show. Like, I mean,
Shadow Man.
Shadow Man remake out of nowhere. We flipped out.
Apparently, they're remastering 1999's Shadow Man. Get hype.
Evil Genius 2. Proteus looks really good, but I like retro shooters.
Weird West was a thing. I mean, if you're apparently a classic kind of RPG being done, like top-down RPG, being done by the people who, the guy who wrote for Dishonored.
Yes.
And something else, Prey. I think Prey and Dishonored. So that's kind of cool if you're into that.
Mortal Shell, the animation looked really nice, but it looked a little slow showing the gameplay.
Yeah, Mortal Shell was an interesting one because they showed off the big hype like hard cut trailer for it, And like in that trailer it looked neat, and then they were like, now we're going to show you like a 5-minute snippet of just pure gameplay, and it's going to be a duel with a boss. And it was like, okay. And then they showed it and it didn't look nearly as cool as like the trailer did. It was like, it just looked kind of sluggish and like awkward in comparison to the way the trailer made the game look. So I don't know, if you're into Souls like shit, Mortal Shell looks decent.
It looked
not mind blowing,
and the animations were really good, but yeah, the actual gameplay showed it just like both he and the boss he was fighting, they were a bit like HP sponges. Like if that fight was like both of their HP were halved, I think it would be a much better pacing. But you know,
they're clearly trying to do something unique with the Souls formula, because there's all that weird shit that he was doing in combat where he would like swing, but then like at the start of his animations sometimes he'd freeze and like get some form of super armor where he would just eat a hit from the boss.
There's like random
and then like carry out,
but it affected both characters. It was just slow-mo the button. It was very strange.
Yeah, I don't like, it's weird because they were like, here's this snippet of a boss fight, and then they didn't explain like anything that was happening. They weren't like, oh yeah, this is what this mechanic is, and like this is why this is happening. They were just like, here you go, watch the boss fight, and you were just supposed to watch it and not ask questions.
And then at the end of the trailer, giant fish shows up and then eats you, all to no audio at all.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that, and I was like, God, I hope that's just early, and they didn't make that audio yet.
There's a multiplayer. Yeah, there's a multiplayer Outlast, and then they showed Streets in the new map that's going to be added in Escape from Tarkov, and that looks like...
Yeah, we got a brief snippet of Streets of Tarkov. It looks horrifying.
It's funny, having played the game, we were yelling at the monitor because he was like walking past a lion and shit, and we were like, pick that up! What are you doing?
It looks horrifying. So we've talked about Tarkov a few times on this podcast because we do play it on occasion, not so much recently, but
which is weird. It wipes. We should probably play it now more than ever.
Yeah, BB tried to get me to play it, and then I didn't. But Streets of Tarkov looks horrendous. It's like, and not in like a bad way, in like a God, I kind of don't want to play on that map, but I do, because he's like walking through these streets and it's all really nicely done. There's a lot of clutter. The streets look really nice. They look kind of like lived in, and then he just like walks into a building randomly, just picks a fucking building, goes up a stairwell, and he just enters an apartment, and it's like a fully realized like apartment, like he's in a hallway. And he turns to his left, and there's like a living area, and he goes down the hallway a little bit more, and there's like a bedroom in a different door.
Bathroom.
There's a bathroom, and the whole time you and me and Sean are watching this, I think I said something like, "I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to clear that apartment. That's horrifying."
Yeah.
Every time I go into a fucking room, I have to wonder if someone's in there, and like every time I'm in the streets, I have to wonder like what window is some dickhead in some fucking apartment, like. It's rough. It's very spooky, but it looks nice.
It looked like there was a lot of loot too. There was a lot of like really good loot, and they made sure to show that off. It's like you're gonna have an anxiety attack every second you're here, but there's the reason why you're here. Tons of money.
But get the loot.
Yep.
It's almost like cities are filled with loot.
And
high-rise buildings to snipe out of.
Yeah. Woo.
Correct.
I'm excited for that map, but I'm also horrified.
And then, anything else about the PC game show, really? Or
hold on, I think there was one other thing. I saw it in the list, and then I forgot. Mortal Shell, the Mafia Definitive Edition, but whatever.
Yeah.
Fuck, there was something. Oh, yeah, this is where they actually showed the Godfall gameplay, but we already kind of talked about that. Persona? No, I guess that's it. I mean, Persona's on PC now. We could talk about the relevance of that, because that's kind of a death knell of the Vita, which is something that some people are pointing out. A lot of people were like,
"Bring Soul Sacrifice over, please."
When Atlas made that tweet, people were like, "What does this mean? Is this like Persona on PC?" Turns out it is. It's not Persona 5. It's Persona 4 Golden, which is huge because that game was only ever on Vita, which I actually didn't know until you and Sean told me that. And now everyone's pointing out that that's like kind of the nail in the coffin for that handheld, which we all already knew was a thing, but very interesting. I wonder what this is. This is just my own tinfoil hat speculation for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
But P4 Golden coming to PC and not anything else. Is this just a test run? Is Atlas
so.
like, how well will this sell? And if it sells well enough, do we port other stuff to PC?
I think so.
I think that's what it is. That's my own little tinfoil hat, but I have a feeling that's what's up.
Also, the poor Gloomwood guy got fucked at the end of this because...
Oh, yeah. We should talk about that,
Yeah,
actually.
so he was part of the New Blood kind of sizzle reel because all of their games are getting updated. There was like a Dusk thing, there was a bunch of games, but they just straight up omitted Gloomwood by accident. It was just not played as part of the sizzle reel trailer. And so the entire time PC Game Show realizes it messes up, and it's saying in the chat, look, there's going to be another game after the credits. Stay after the credits. And they played the Gloomwood thing after the credits, but this was in the fever pitch of Bloodborne might be coming to PC. So everyone was expecting Bloodborne, and what's worse is Gloomwood has kind of a Victorian aesthetic. So it started to play, and then it's like, nope, we're not. And
it even got me. It got me for a brief moment. You guys were watching it with me, and at the very split second where the trailer played, like I realized very quickly that it wasn't Bloodborne, but for like half of a second, there's just like the moon with like a
Victorian
very,
architecture,
Victorian
like that's
kind of thing in front of it. Yeah, and I was like, holy fuck, Bloodborne! And then I very quickly realized that the graphics and stuff, like it wasn't Bloodborne. But for a brief moment, I was like, oh shit.
So yeah, that poor guy got destroyed on Twitter.
Which is so fucked up. Like people shouldn't have fucking like assaulted that guy because it wasn't Bloodborne.
Yeah, and it was like the game is cursed. Like first off, you're omitted from the trailer, and then second, you just happen to have that aesthetic and happen to be forcibly played, not because of your choice after the credits. And it makes it feel like a bigger announcement where it's one more game after the credits when it's really there's one more game after the credits because we forgot to put it in.
Yeah, because we fucked up.
Oh my god, those poor guys.
And end cap on the PC gaming thing, but like obviously because of what we're talking about, this should be obvious. No Bloodborne on PC reveal at all.
Correct.
Through the whole PC gaming show, despite the leaks and rumors, which, as I kind of stated and alluded to before, is interesting because they were bundled into the Demon Souls leaks, but we didn't get a Bloodborne announcement. And spoiler alert, we didn't get one for the future gaming event, even though we haven't talked about that yet. But no Bloodborne PC throughout either of these two events yesterday.
Future game show was the next one.
Just real quick, just want to throw it in there. But a game that I actually found a while ago that I just threw on the wish list, but I never really talked about, was Humankind. I mean, it's supposed to be like I guess a historical strategy, like Civ.
They talked about that, didn't they?
Yeah, they did it. PC Gamer, but I'm excited for it. It looked cool from what I saw. I didn't see anything else they put out about it yet, but I've been wanting to like play a Civ game, but Civ 6 is a good.
What was that?
Why don't you go play Endless Legend?
I'm sorry, I've been wanting to play a Civ game, but like Civ 6 apparently isn't like that good anyway. And you guys don't have it anyway. So like maybe this could be like something to like fill that gap for me.
Yeah, I remember
what about Endless Legend?
I mean, would you play Endless Legend with me?
With you? I don't know, but you said you want to play a Civ game, so why don't you just go play fucking Endless Legend? It's similar. It's not the same thing, but it's close.
Yeah, just like something new, and something more historical. Like it's, I don't know. I'm excited for this. I think it could be.
I will say that the trailer for Humankind kind of put me to sleep a little bit from what I remember of it. Like they showed it off and I was like, yeah, all right, it's cool, I guess, but I don't know a ton about it just from your trailer, and you're not building hype for me for this. As someone who does enjoy like playing Civ and shit, I got to know more about it, I guess, is what I'm getting
next
at.
year, so that's all I just wanted to add.
I mean, the future game show was the last part.
Opened up on Dustborn, which was very exciting.
It was very not exciting.
Not exciting.
Probably the funniest thing from Dustborn was being part of the stream and just seeing someone refer to it as Desert Bus 2.
Yeah.
And the animation looks like shit. The character design looks like out of my nightmares, and it looked very it's gonna be dated in like a month, I think.
I think overall the Future Game Show was mildly better than the PC Game Show, but
Agreed.
not by a large margin.
Agreed.
Like not by a large margin at all. It had like a few things that were kind of cool. Like I got to see more Ghost Runner stuff, which I was kind of excited about. It was nice seeing more gameplay of Ghost Runner that included like more enemy types in it, and like more environments and shit. Because the biggest issue with the Ghost Runner demo is that it's like I'm just fighting these dudes who are basically like glorified turrets, shooting at me like one shot every like 10 seconds, and it wasn't like massively exciting, but the gameplay was clearly there, and it was fun. So it was cool getting to see a trailer for that included more shit, as well as like more abilities that you're clearly going to get as you play it. So I'm excited about that game, and I'm glad that they showed that, because I'm definitely going to get that.
Yeah, definitely showed a lot more games that I'm actually like willing to buy. Morbid the Seven Acolytes looked interesting. Signy All Guns Blazing looked good.
Dungeons of the Schmegmadick.
Yeah,
I forgot about
Dungeons of the Schmegmadick.
Dungeons of the Schmegmadick, Amulet of the Nahalakbat.
That looked terrible. Chris Tales actually showed gameplay, and it went from, oh, this is a cute aesthetic, but diabetes cute, and I probably will never play it, to, oh, hey, look, interesting gameplay mechanics. Maybe I will look into it. Neon Abyss looked very fun. It looked like Enter the Gungeon, but Escape from the Gungeon, but by different people. There was a skate game. Get to the Orange Door. Turns out it already existed, but we were made aware of it, and we all want to buy it.
Oh yeah, Get to the Orange Door is fucking awesome. I was actually waiting to talk about that for this. That game looks. It looks like it's like neon, like I don't know, like digital, very like virtual worldy, cyberpunk-ish kind of like first-person shooter with obvious like Titanfall-ish kind of influence and like a very fast pace, and I love it. It's right up my fucking alley.
Anno Mutation M.
Oh, is that the waifu cyberpunk thing?
Yeah, apparently for PlayStation, but it's an interesting like Metroidvania 2D 2.5D. It looked really nice, and it had our aesthetic, so at least me and Brandon, so we were interested in it. I'm just kind of like scrolling through this list and just thinking of anything that like I actually want to talk about. Again, a lot of indie stuff. Wasteland 3, that's probably important.
That looks very cool. I'm not really big into the Wasteland series, but I saw that and I was like, this might get me to play it.
I always wanted to play Wasteland 2, but I never did. Maybe this game will get me to like go back if they put Wasteland 2 on sale. And play it.
Remothered Broken Porcelain looked
yeah, the new Rule of Rose.
Yeah, that's how I described it. Because it just like you're a little child in like third person, kind of more adventure game than action-y game.
Yeah.
Werewolf the Apocalypse getting a video game.
Yeah, that's not even in this list. I'm looking at a list.
No, it is. You scroll down. It's under Remothered.
No, I'm not looking. I don't think I'm looking at your list. I think I'm looking at a different list, and they didn't include it for some reason. Because no one cares about World of Darkness.
Well, to be fair, they also didn't really show anything. There was like
they
a
really
cinematic thing, and even we then looked online, and there was a better cinematic trailer.
Yeah, a better trailer they didn't show.
Rogue Company, which is high res doing Fortnite
Yeah, it's literally Hi-Rez continuing the trend of just kind of aping people's successful ideas.
And it ended on cereal cleaners to everyone's disappointment.
That was hilarious. They were like, yeah, we have one more thing. Let's do the thing every event does where we show something really cool after the credits. And we were all like, oh my God, is it Bloodborne on PC? and then it fucking cuts to that, like cereal cleaners. And I was like, this is the most disappointing. No disrespect to anyone who works on cereal cleaners, but not the most hype way.
Anyone who listens to our podcast.
Yeah, which they don't. But if they ever did, not the hypest way to end the future gaming event.
And not your fault. You had no control over those leaks and rumors, but yeah, I bet you paid a lot of money for that spot, and boy howdy.
Yikes.
Slight aside, mentioned in multiple of these game shows was Blankos Block Party. That looks like trash. And
is that the thing we kept making fun about?
Yes.
Fun of with the toys.
Even making this game, I hate you a little bit. I just want to, unlike the other people where it's like we don't blame you for what you've done, and it's not my thing. This is legit. I don't like you. That's developers
strong.
of this game.
That's harsh.
That's fine.
People got to eat, Anthony. All right, they're making a little toy game for children.
Can eat their stupid fucking toys that they've manufactured for this nightmare of capitalism.
A lot of money. They're gonna make a lot of money.
I hope not.
You probably will. Speaking of people who aren't going to be making money anymore,
Blankos Block Party.
And I mean that was kind of it for all the shows. No Bloodborne.
Yeah. No Bloodborne, unfortunately. I'm still holding out hope that it's coming. It's just being worked on. Maybe they just weren't ready to show it. I have to keep hope alive in my heart because the leaks were bundled in with Demon Souls, and Demon Souls was true. So Bloodborne must be true. It's coming. I swear it. My tinfoil hat's on any fucking day. It's coming. They don't need an event to announce it. They could just announce it without an event. It's coming.
But as I was saying, speaking of people who aren't making money anymore, that Riot person.
We're gonna roll.
I like how you almost said that poor guy at Riot, and then you just
it was like wait a second.
Ripped it back. I'll say it. That poor guy at Riot. I'll be that guy.
Fuck that guy.
He's fucking stupid, dude. You're in that position and you put out something like that. Like, come on, you're just you're dumb.
I think he's completely fine. I think that's fucked up. I think the entire situation's fucked up.
I'll agree.
Hold on. Let's get his opinion. What's fucked up about him being fired for what he?
Because
I'm curious. I'm legitimately curious.
He even agreed. He was like, the cops were bad. Don't make him into a martyr. And because of that, you lose your job. No, that's fucked up. You shouldn't lose your job. You shouldn't be investigated over that. Like, that should steg to I disagree, and that's it. Nothing else.
I am fine. I think when you are here's my opinion on it. I think when you're a person like him, who is an executive at a big company like Riot, you have to have whether even if you truly believe in that shit that you're saying, you have to have enough brain cells, which should only be like 2 of them, to figure out that if you tweet out some shit like that or you post some shit like that on Facebook, that people are going to go nuts and you might lose your job. You could just keep it to yourself. It's not that hard to not be an idiot.
Yeah, but it's not like he used the corporate account or anything. That was his private.
No, yeah, it was his own account, but what does that matter whether he did it on his own account or he did it on the corporate? It shouldn't affect
your job and your employment. Period.
But he's an executive. Like he's one of the faces of the company. We're not talking about.
He represents them, and if his personal views are seen to be like different than maybe what the company wants its views to be perceived, I can see why they got rid of him.
Like it makes sense. Whether you agree with what he said or not, like it does make sense.
How is that
scary? We do that shit all the time. Like especially with like the football players kneeling. It's like, oh, their views don't affect the NFL, like, and we don't do it. Like it's the same shit.
Right. So you want those football players fired?
No, of course not.
No, I don't want it, but that's what they're kind of doing.
It's also kind of a different thing. Like we can't be like comparing Kaepernick to this guy. I don't think it's equivalent.
Why not?
Because I think they're two different things. I think now we're talking about. Now I think we're getting into the point of what did they say, and are we just okay with like anyone saying
didn't even
anything?
Say anything fucked up.
He brought into question the dude's like criminal record, and he
Which
was
is
like,
true. He said the truth and got fired.
But
that's fucked up. That's dystopian shit.
Hold on, that's not the point of the issue.
Boys, before we get into, too much political shit, because
I'm not even that comfortable like diving that deep on this, to be completely honest. But it's like, at least on this podcast, maybe off podcast, but like I just don't see what the problem is with the dude getting fired. It's like just utilize your common sense and realize that in your position of employment, maybe you don't say shit like that on your social media. Say it to your friends who probably agree with you and hold your fucking political views, because you probably surround yourself with people who agree with you. But don't post it on your fucking Twitter, where you're clearly going to lose your job if you do that.
Because
that was not something that would be hard to predict. Head of like a fucking company that big, and
employment, that's a little hard.
You put out something is going to be somewhat inflammatory.
No, actually, I don't. I think that's why he posted it. He probably didn't think it was inflammatory. He was just like, "Here's my opinion."
Well, then he's stupid.
Well, again, I kind of agree with him, so I guess I'm stupid. Like,
no, you're not head of a like multi-million-dollar company.
I don't mean I agree with him in his opinion. I actually disagree with his opinion.
But you agree with his? You think? Let me just clarify.
I think that just saying your opinion on a thing, like,
shouldn't have gotten him fired. That's
well,
what
no, not only that it's not a big deal that I say my opinion on something. Regardless, it led to him getting fired or whatever, that he couldn't predict. I think he thought it was like, I'm just going to say my piece on this, and that will be the end of that. People will disagree with me. People will agree with me.
Here's something that I don't know.
Something else.
Here's something I don't know. Did Riot put out, like, they did put out the statement, right? Like, oh, the Black Lives Matter, we support this and all the movement. So then he is definitely stupid for putting something out that could be misconstrued even as against the company's message.
But
that's
a slippery slope. It's not like he was like, F Black Lives Matter or anything like that.
It's the company has an image, and if he, even in his personal life, goes against that image, they have an image to uphold, and companies are not beholden to like the same type of like protections that we have under law. I don't know. It's weird.
He should have had the common
like
sense,
with freedom of speech and all that.
When he posts,
he's free to say it. The thing was, he wasn't free to be not fired by his employer.
Exactly.
He's free to say it, but he's also free to he should understand with his brain cells that when he posts something like that, and his company that he works for was like, we come out in support of Black Lives Matter, that maybe when you put out something that could be seen as being kind of deflammatory towards the dead guy, that you might lose your fucking job. Like, it's very possible.
And here's the thing, I'm not against the company firing him either, because that's how companies work. I just think it sets a very bad dystopian precedent where it's...
This has existed. It's nothing new.
Yeah, not on this scale, I don't think.
But moving past that, I do, as much as any of you may disagree, I do feel somewhat bad that the guy lost his job.
Ironically, I don't feel bad for that because he was a CEO. You think that they fired him without a huge fucking package of a lot of money? Like, he's fine. He's fine.
He's probably fine off, but I feel bad that it was because he couldn't think that he lost his job, that he made it that far ahead, made it all the way to CEO, and he couldn't think for 2 seconds.
I don't feel bad at all. He was stupid.
It's idiotic.
Again, the main thing I'm concerned about is kind of the precedent, but that's me,
It's like he had all the time in the world to type that shit in the Twitter, look at it, and not realize that might put his job at risk.
He knew where his company stood. He knows where mass public opinion stands, and to put something out like that's just idiotic.
He didn't even go against that stuff. Like, God.
he didn't necessarily go against it, but he said some pretty risque shit. Like
and I'm
like
not
you
gonna
can't
say that, but I mean it's different than I don't know. I just think he didn't go that far, but the response is extreme. And again, everything is within the rights to do it, but like I could still be concerned about it.
I think when you're that guy, you just have to have, I've said it like 5 times now, but you have to have the common sense to understand that whether you think you should be allowed to post something like that or not, that in today's climate, you can't do that.
You should just
just don't do it. But instead, he fucking rolled the dice and he was like, I'm going to tweet this because I can, even though I know that I'm probably going to get fucked, or I'm so fucking blind to what's going on in the world right now that I think I'm invulnerable, maybe, as a result of my position in the company. And then he tweeted it and got fired. Like, fuck him. He's an idiot. Like, he just shouldn't have tweeted it. Whether you think it's okay for him to get fired or not, just don't tweet that shit. Just don't show the world your horseshit opinion. You keep your job. Go talk to your friends about it.
Anyway, about risque things and Riot. Rich, you had something to do with a line in Valorant. You said you
Valorant, blow it up.
Are you the only person to talk? You didn't like read an article about this, right? You're like
no,
the only one.
I completely. This is 100% original. I wanted to expand. Take the Reddit, our followers. Like
Camelcast exclusive.
Spread it out. But there is definitely.
Anthony, get ready to clickbait title this podcast. Have the camels discovered racist shit in Valorant?
See, this is very uncomfortable for me because I'm the editor guy and I completely disagree with this.
That's fine.
Listen, all right, this is my opinion on. All right, well, let me say what's said. God, where is it? I gotta find it. I know I read it down. Read it? I read it.
Did.
You completely disagree. You completely disagree with what the thing he's about to talk about?
Yes.
I don't think it. Well, you'll see.
No, this is what I'm gonna say. So there's, and again, this is completely original. I didn't read this. I was playing Valorant with Brennan, and I was playing Viper, who just so happens, again, I don't think it's going this direction, but I'll just put the context out there. It just so happens that she's a white lady, and one of her voice lines, specifically to Phoenix, who is a black male, is, "Fire needs oxygen. Let me replace this Phoenix's air." That, in today's climate, I can't believe is still up.
Okay, here's what's up with that. Okay, in today's climate, yes, that's a little rough. It's a bit of a yikes, but that voice line was probably recorded.
Yes, no, I don't think this is like purposely inflammatory or like this. Obviously this was done way before this stuff happened, but the fact that it's still in the game, has no one picked up on it yet? Because, like I said, I just found this. I didn't read about this.
Most people don't give a fuck. That's why.
No one cares. Like, people realize, kind of like me, to be
honest.
No
one cares because they don't know. This is where it blows up. This is what gets us on the map.
Yes, this is where it blows up.
We wind up on Reddit.
I just want to put it out there. I don't like witch hunts. I think that would be stupid. We should not remove any references to strangulation from any media just because a thing happened. It's stupid.
Anthony, to some extent, I do agree with you because I'm of the opinion that it's like this voice line was recorded ages before this was ever a problem. I mean, it's like other black men have been choked to death by the police before this. But
I think it has more to do with the fact that she's talking about suffocating him because of the fire aspect.
Well, here's the thing. I personally, my personal opinion, don't really care, and I understand that this was done, and it's not necessarily I don't know, it's not a big deal. I understand that, but I am going to call it out because I noticed it, and
he's hoping.
You know, in today's climate, it's kind of rough.
Yeah, it's an interesting look, but it was clearly not written with that intention. It was written long before. It was not written with that in consideration. Some writer at Riot was like, "This is a clever little line because she deals with toxic gas and shit, and he's fireman." So it was just like there was never an inkling in that person's head of like suffocating the black man by the white person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Never was that a thing.
Now, we got.
Yes, now it could be a thing. But people also, once again, to go back to what we were talking about before this, people have to use 2 brain cells and some common sense and realize that was written with none of that shit in mind.
Well, that's your problem though, is thinking people have those brain cells.
Right, they don't.
Like
and
I don't necessarily care. I just, like I said, I just picked up on it, thought about it, and was like, wow, maybe that's weird.
Richie, if in like 2 or 3 days or like a week from now or 2 weeks from now, I'm scrolling through my fucking like news feed on my web browser and I scroll down and there's some like fucking Polygon article that's like, is Riot secretly racist? Viper voice line very insensitive. I'm going to immediately lose my shit. And I'm going to think of you instantly, and I'm going to send that to you as fast as I possibly can.
I want all 10 of our followers out there. Spread the word.
Please
and then I'm going to mail Polygon a strongly worded letter, and I'm going to be like, I want all ad revenue.
One
from
guy
this
at
article.
Riot already got fired. Let's not make it 2, please.
Listen, anyone listening to this podcast, we're obviously just fucking around. You just heard the common sense opinion of that voice line doesn't mean shit. But it would be very funny to see some very PC-minded person write an article about it, considering we just talked.
And Anthony put like the little gift of the PC bros from South Park doing their dance. Dance right here, right now.
Yeah.
I wanna be PC. Woo!
Speaking more of that, Little Devil Inside has been caught in the crosshairs.
God, there's a lot of like racism themed shit this week, isn't there?
It's almost as if society is very sensitive because of a recent event.
Yeah.
So there are tribesmen enemies in the game, and people think it's racist. I don't think so, but whatever. They're already capitulating, so.
I think it's just
a topic on this. I have no opinion on this.
You can go look at the picture right now. It's in the Camelcast.
Yeah, I've looked at the picture.
Yeah, so that's the enemy. They designed that, and people were like, "Ooh, that's racist," because the neck and their masks have kind of like giant red lips, and apparently they shoot blow darts at you, and the blow dart pipes kind of look like blunts or whatever.
People forget that, like.
Oh my god!
Tribesmen actually did that. Like, are we gonna forget? Like,
I don't think the design. This is just my opinion. I don't think anyone at that company working on that game designed that to be racist.
No,
I think it's a very unfortunate, like, coincidence.
It's like if you made a Zulu warrior now. Zulu warriors are the shit. I would love to put them in, like, if I made a game of reference to them, but people would be like, that's racist because they black man in mask with spears, and it's like. That were a real thing that happened in the past.
Yeah, but like, all right, I'm gonna again. This isn't indicative of my own personal opinions, but I will play
devil's advocate.
I will play a devil's advocate right now. I don't know anything about this game.
I will play Big Titty.
Who is the other characters in the game? Do they all have this likeness?
No,
of course not.
You play as like a white dude, and there's like
there's also evil European knights in the game, but no one gives a shit about them.
All right, but all I'm saying
giant cats.
Bear in mind, he's just playing devil's advocate.
All I'm seeing right now is this picture. I know nothing of the game. All I'm seeing is this picture. If they're like the only black characters represented and they're kind of like in pseudo blackface, it could be seen as like, I mean, like with the big lips and all that stuff. Maybe blackface was the wrong word.
It's a mask.
But like
a characterization of like a black dude's face.
Like I could see why people are mad at it if it's the only character representation they have, that like this is the likeness that they've been given. It does play on racial stereotypes at that point if they're the only character representation in the game.
Monster Hunter, you're next. Garjalakas, you're done.
The word I should have used was caricature, just to get it out there. I don't think that, like I said at the start of this, I don't think this is actually like intended racism. I don't
think it is either.
They made a character design. They didn't think about it hard enough, and people are taking it in a direction that maybe it doesn't need to be taken. But they're like, "Fuck." I can see how this could be misconstrued as like people being vaguely racist, but
I don't think it's blatant racism, but
No,
it
it's
definitely
not.
is stereotypical and maybe like racially biased. And that's not okay. And like,
Listen,
Can
I
we
understand
stop
why
talking
Anthony's
about this.
sighing.
This physically hurts me.
No. I understand why you're sighing, because it's like, what are we supposed to do? Never have characters that look even remotely like this, or like wear masks?
You
and
can't
do, like,
say we need diversity and then also say, but African tribesmen are not allowed. Like that's a thing to be inspired by and base off of.
And then I don't want any European white knights.
Well, yeah, it could go to. It's not going to, but it could.
Again, I think that the issue stems from the lack of other representation. Like, if this is the way the characters are represented and that's it, and they're using like real world racial stereotypes in this game, I don't know. I could see how it's an issue.
Oh God.
I can see how people can like look at these designs and be like, yeah, maybe they're vaguely racist, but I don't think it was the intention.
Hard.
I think that's where
disagree.
I lie.
Let's go into lightning round.
Well, what do you disagree? Well, hold on. What do you disagree with about that? You can't understand how people could look at it just in
Yes,
today's
they're
climate.
retarded. If you have that opinion, you're stupid. You're literally locking off sections of history because it might be considered certain ways, and that's
Also,
terrible. That's
I can
bad.
get it. I can get it a little bit with like the giant red lips and all that shit, but like I also do agree that people are taking it a little too seriously. I don't think the people who made those character designs were trying to be racist.
What are these things? Are these spirits? Because it looks like they're from the same environment, just like a different plane. Like different, like they're on the planes or something. I'm watching the trailer of it.
No idea.
They look like spirits or something, but they look like they're from the same area. They're
Fun
wearing
fact:
the same
this game
mask.
is from like 2017. It had a Kickstarter, and the stretch goal that it reached was for a Wii U port.
Yeah, which is not gonna happen
They
now.
also have like a chicken dragon, apparently.
I understand, and they like we're coming from like, oh, we can't have like Japanese samurai then in our game or some shit like that because it plays on the racial stereotype of like all Japanese people like katanas or some shit like that.
Even if you did it cartoony, if there was a cartoony yellow man in a paper hat, racist. Like, it's very clearly caricature based. Like, even the European guys have like ridiculous wash mustaches. Like, everyone looks like a caricature.
But they're like real world. I don't know, real world like.
Fuck the real world. It's a video game.
Like, so like, but the caricature has like racial implications in real world. So is it necessarily appropriate for the game?
Forever.
Do they really need the big lips?
The big lips is the rough part. That's the hard.
Have you not seen the African masks?
Oh, let's move on to lightning round, please. I'm done. I'm done.
I think I've just done
this
the period.
is a political debate. This isn't a political and racial freaking thing.
I mean, we're arguing about. We're discussing.
I think y'all, and by y'all, I mean Anthony to some extent, just gotta chillax. We're just having a conversation.
Yes, but
it's a discussion.
It's not necessarily politics we're talking about. It's just like the idea of like
the whole point of a discussion is to discuss
in the game.
I think games, and this is my blanket statement, I think games and any sort of media should have the freedom and liberty to put caricatures and any sort of stylization into their games and characters as they so choose. And to put restrictions.
I mean, they're free to do it, but they're not free from getting backlash.
Enough people drum up backlash about it, then they're going to feel forced to change it, and that's what's going on now. Yeah, I agree. Like I said at the start of this, it's not. I don't think they intended for it to be like racist. I can see how people who are very PC minded would look at it and be like, "It's fucking racist." Stereotype of black tribesmen, but it's like I don't think they meant for that to be the case when they designed it, and now they're probably looking back at it like, ooh, fuck. People are mad. Clearly not the intention.
But moving on, lightning round.
Is Anthony
Here's
dead?
something we can all agree on: the new 40K models.
On himself.
Did Anthony just rage quit his own podcast?
New 40K models, boys.
Might have.
I don't go on to that, Andy.
Thanks for being on the podcast.
No.
All right.
This is what editing's for. We can just edit out this stretch.
Anthony?
I am still here.
He's still here. I don't know why you didn't respond, but he's still here.
Because it's funny.
All right, lightning round then. The new 40K models.
God, some of them look cool. Others look fucking awful.
I thought all of them looked awful except the one Necron one I saw, the freaking crab one.
Some of the Necron ones looked very cool. I think the Space Marine
the one that kind of was up on 3 legs here.
Oh yeah, like the Canoptic Wraith thing, but it's like a giant turret.
Hang on, basically. I'm gonna fucking grab a screen image of it.
It was the Wraith with the giant gun.
To me,
on its back.
No, not the Wraith with the giant gun. The other one.
I just don't care.
I don't remember what we're talking about. I only remember 2 Necron units.
Like the fucking what is it? The fucking War of the Worlds fucking walker.
Copy. Paste. There you go. I like that one.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. It's basically like a fucking Wraith, but bulky.
Yeah. The fucking tripod.
Like,
yeah, I like that.
It looks okay.
I think it looks better than everything else they showed.
I think the tripod.
It looks alright.
I like the Overlord or whatever, like the Necron Lord.
They have the Heavy Destroyer, which I think looks dumb.
I mean, it's just a destroyer with like a bigger gun.
It's a heavy. It looks like a destroyer with a bigger gun, and it looks like its ass just got super fat for no reason.
Yeah,
I think I think the models are okay.
I
think like
the turret is silly.
I think the Space Marine turret's also silly. Honestly don't know how to feel about the ATV. At first I was like, that's dumb, but the more I look at it, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of cool.
It's okay. I think it's like a rip-off Warthog.
Yeah, I kind of thought about that too. When I saw it, I was like, what the fuck? We Halo now?
Yeah, but is the concept of an ATV with a gun on the back really that unique?
No.
Why
But
would Marines be in an ATV? If it was in the Guards,
in fact, actually, a Warthog is a Jeep. This is an ATV.
All right, but my statement still stands. Why would the Space Marines be in an ATV when they got like land speeders and stuff? Why
are they being bikes if they had land speeders? It's just, a different tool.
I could see it more in a Guard army, is what I'm saying.
It does feel kind of redundant, I guess, where it's like, you've already got the bikes, you've already got the land speeders, like, why do we need this? I feel like maybe they could have come up with something a little more creative than just another light vehicle that will serve a slightly different purpose. Like, I don't know.
To me,
it also does look a little awkward. It's kind of like squat-ish. It's like very squanched, if that makes any sense.
Like I said, I thought it was stupid at first, but I'm coming around to the design.
I don't think it's that badly designed. It just, like I said, I feel it's misplaced.
I like the I think I don't know. I haven't kept up with Warhammer in a while, but I don't know what's with the designs of putting like almost full human skeletons on shit. But I think that's stupid. Like the fucking Primaris captain has like a half a torso skeleton just on his shield, and there's another character that has a banner that at the top of the banner is just like a rib cage and like a head of just like a full upper torso, and it's like,
they're for porn now apparently.
Like, it's very strange.
Is it supposed to like? What are the?
I don't know I don't know. That's the thing. But like aesthetically, it looks strange to me. Even if there is a war reason.
Well, is it supposed to be like some Bretonnia-esque shit where they're like hanging like renowned Space Marine bones on their shields that are?
I don't know. But it looks silly, in my opinion.
I think that is the case because I'm pretty sure the skull on the shield has an iron halo like on it.
Okay, then yeah, that's probably what it is then.
Yeah, I just think it looks silly aesthetically.
I think all the models
I haven't seen it. So.
Extraordinarily uninspired. Like, let's make a destroyer slightly bigger. Let's
big destroyer.
Let's more. I liked War of the Worlds. Let's just do that.
Phil Kelly kicked in the door and he was like, hold on, wait, I have an idea. It's a destroyer, but it's giga huge.
And then even you guys were saying ATV and stuff like that. Look at that thing from the front and the way that the wheels are and the armor is, and tell me that's not the Nolan Batmobile with a gun on the top.
Yeah. It is.
I'm not as familiar with it as you guys.
But again, I thought the Overlord looked cool. I think there are parts of the armor on like the new Primaris Captain that look cool. Like I like the helmet. The new, God, I forgot what it's called, but like there's a new model for chaplains or something, but they're not chaplains. They're like called like judicators or some shit, or justicars, I don't know, something like that. They look very cool.
I only saw what was in the trailer. I thought they only showed like I've only seen the ATV and I saw like the 2 Necron things. I don't remember anything else. Maybe I just wrote it out of my brain, so uninterested.
Anyway, we should keep moving.
Yeah.
I will say this before we move on. I give all the models like a fucking 5 out of 10. I think the Wraith with the turret on the back is kind of doofy looking. I don't like it. It just looks like really top heavy, and like it's got all this plating on it, but then you look at its right side and it just like doesn't have anything there. Like it's just open to the fucking air, and it's like, what's going on with this? I feel like I don't understand why it's designed like that. It just looks kind of fucking awkward to me.
I would give them lower.
Lower than a 5 out of 10?
I really don't think they're that bad. Like, they made a tripod. The only reason you're mad is because it's a tripod, but that doesn't make the model bad.
I feel that
I'm not shit talking because it's a tripod. I'm shit talking because I think it looks doofy. Even as a tripod design, I just don't like how it's like half armored and then like completely open for some reason on the side. Like, what the fuck's going on with that? Also, I think the paint scheme on it is like shit, but that's obviously up to the person.
Keep going. Metal Slug games. I probably only care about this.
Fuck no, are you kidding me? I love Metal Slug.
Shit yeah.
I have Metal Slug on Steam, the ones that are there.
Nice. New one announced. Well, 2 new ones announced. One's for mobile. RIP.
Yikes.
It could be better than the Tower Defense Metal Slug. That game was atrocious. Anyway, but yeah, that's excited for that because I like Metal Slug games. Destiny 2 is becoming Destiny 1 again, kind of. They talked about how it's kind of super huge, and so it's hard for them to work on and balance, and they didn't want to go Destiny 3, so they're cycling content where literal planets, you just can't go to Mars. Just can't. It's
really
all been
weird.
cycled out, and they're adding in Destiny 1 content. What does that mean for the campaign? If you joining late, can you just not do it? Who the fuck knows? They're doing weird things.
That's a really good question, actually. I didn't even think about that.
Vermintide is getting a Grail Knight character.
That's cool. It's weird the way they implemented it because a lot of people wanted a new character, and a lot of people wanted the new character to be a Bretonnian Grail Knight. This, unfortunately, is not just a new character. It's a career path for Kluba.
That makes sense.
But and apparently, I was watching some videos and stuff on it. Like, some people are upset because like, why the fuck is an Empire captain becoming a Grail Knight? But like, that was like done with the release of the game. It's like they gave alternate.
Yeah, they all had that shit.
Yeah.
But
like,
why can Carillion wake up one day and be like
a shade? Elf? Yeah, which is shade. Like, why is she a fucking wood elf?
It's
and
like,
then she goes and like becomes a bride of Cain. Like, it makes no fucking sense.
It's fun.
There's a bit of a time skip too to try to justify that anyway, right?
Yeah. And I'm very excited to see like what he can do as a Grail Knight. I wonder, I know the game will be balanced, and of course he'll be just as viable as like all the others, but like Grail Knights are supposed to be like badasses among badasses, like superhuman. And I wonder if there's just going to be cool skills and shit that he gets.
He probably should have been a questing knight as opposed to a full Grail Knight, but still, it's good.
Yeah, I thought about that, and I'm like, Grail Knight compared to even like a Dwarf Slayer, a Grail Knight is like way above. Like Grail Knights are supposed to be like seriously like super fucking human.
The Space Marines of Warhammer Fantasy before we had literal Space Marines.
Yeah, true.
But it's a cool thing. It's a cool career path. I'm excited to see what skills he gets and like the ability. And will it get me to play Vermintide 2 again? Probably not, just because it's a paid DLC, and I don't think I'm gonna pay for DLC for that game.
They're charging for the Grail Knight? Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, it's part of the next paid DLC package.
Cool. What else is part of it?
That I do not know.
Hopefully everyone gets something like that.
At least I'm pretty sure it's paid. I remember hearing it was paid DLC.
Vampire. We got a character from the first one back. We got Damsel.
That's cool. I was kind of excited when I saw that.
I had to look up who she was.
I remembered her. When I saw the image of her, I remembered exactly who she was.
I was like, I feel like I know her. Let me read.
I think
that's fantastic.
Anarch, right?
Yeah,
she was in with the Anarch guy.
I think that's really cool. It's a throwback to the first game.
I wish it was cool. A throwback to the first game. They do, but she's cool.
I don't know if anyone else feels like this about this game, but I am so nervous about this game because, like, I'm in horrible fear that it's gonna be bad. Like, I'm so scared that it's gonna be like jank and it's not gonna be good and the story's not gonna be as interesting.
The only thing I'm upset about is that Gangrel aren't gonna be on release and they're gonna be DLC.
Yeah, that sucks. That's stupid.
And Gangrel is my favorite fucking clan.
It's very lame. I don't know why they wouldn't be there, especially when it's the sequel to a game where they were there.
Dude, they need to make the money.
Bro, I mean, like, my immediate, like, worry with this game started the second it got announced, and then it was like, hey, and the Steam page is up right now, and if you want, you can pre-order it, and you get these gun skins and this outfit. And I was like, cool, I don't know what any of that shit means, but you're already charging me for weapon skins in a game I know nothing about, because all I saw was the cinematic trailer. Like, that was instant sweat. Immediately. And I'm still kind of sweating because, like, we don't know a fuckload about it. Like, it's been a while since this game's been announced. We've seen small bits of gameplay. It's very cool.
Look good.
No, it looked kind of jank. And it's like, it's cool there's a character in there from the first game. And it's very possible that this game could be like kind of like Euro jank, but still good, you know? It could be good, even if it's kind of jank. But I'm just concerned it's going to be like a mess and just be trash. And I fucking pray that's not the case, because I want this game to be good. But I literally have nothing to go on because they're not showing us anything other than a snippet of a character from the first game, which I guess is cool.
I played the first one so many freaking times.
The first game's great. It's a fucking classic. I mean, it's an absolute mess of a video game. If you want to try to get it to run on like a modern system, you have to install fan-made patches to try to get that shit to run.
Fair and true.
It's a good game, even though it's a fucking mess.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the point I'm getting at, where it's like this game could be a mess too, and it could still be decent, because the first game, people love it. It's a cult classic, even though you go back and you play it and it's rough.
Right,
but I'm just concerned.
It's not too rough. It's an acceptable amount of rough, and we're hoping that this new game is an acceptable amount of rough. It'd be nice if it was just perfect. Probably not going to be, but
no,
we are willing to accept a certain amount of fuck-uppery. But God, please be good.
Point of comparison, right? It's a first-person RPG, right? Based on the original Vampire, right? This game is not going to be... I'm not disillusioned into thinking that this game is going to be nearly as good as like Cyberpunk, quality-wise. You know what I mean? It's going to be good. It could be trash. It could be jank, but still good, and that's kind of what I'm hoping for. But like, they're not showing me stuff.
We have to hope. Yeah, we have to hope that the story and the writing is good. If the gameplay is not up to standards.
Yeah, and I'm just concerned that it might not be. But we don't know anything.
Like you said, like the first one, we could look past certain gameplay aspects if the game's story is good.
So and even then, that game for its time wasn't the worst in terms of its gameplay. It was still rough even for its time, but it was fun. Like I remember playing it back in the day and being like, yeah, this is fun because like what we had back then to compare it to, it was cool. You go back and play it now, the game's rough as fuck. It wasn't the worst. It was just a buggy mess that was kind of jank to play. And like, I don't know. I'm just concerned because we have seen very little. I think it's really weird. Like we've seen small snippets of gameplay, and then they were like, "Here's a trailer," and it's like our NPCs dancing around and shit with like small snippets of what their personality might be like, and it's like, "That's your trailer." Okay, thank you. Can I see like gameplay? Can I see like hard and fast fucking gameplay? Other than that very small gameplay trailer we got like months ago, but they're not giving us that, so I'm sweating.
Time. Was it holidays? Like Christmas? The game's gonna come out or some shit?
Supposedly. Who knows, dude? What with Corona?
I think that's what they said they want is Christmas. You know, to go with that trailer they put out with everyone dancing because it was Christmas themed.
Oh yeah. I mean, they don't even have a month. Just planned release date 2020 on Steam. So who knows? I can give them $90 right now for the Blood Moon edition, even though I know nothing about the fucking game.
I'm remaining cautiously optimistic.
Oh, and there's already a season pass too if you buy the Blood Moon edition.
A while ago when they first released the Steam page.
I didn't see that. I saw the other stuff.
Yeah, there's a season pass.
Yikes.
And then the last bit of news is AT&T selling WB Interactive, which includes things like NetherRealm Studios.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know how to feel about that.
It all depends on who buys them.
Yeah, and, Tencent.
Yeah, I know EA was gunning for that.
Oh God, are you serious, or is that a rumor?
Yeah, well, no, all the interested buyers have been mentioned. Like, there's no final person who has come out and said it, but hang on, let me look. Let me go into it real quick so I could read that.
The deal could be valued at $4 billion, and there's reported interest from companies like Take-Two, EA, and Activision Blizzard.
Mm-hmm.
Whew. I'm not comfortable with any of those companies owning NRS.
I'm barely comfortable with them owning what they own, you know?
Yeah. I'm barely comfortable with NRS the way they are now, to be completely let alone if EA was hovering over them or Take-Two.
EA is cocking that pistol and digging another grave for acquired developers.
And if Activision Blizzard buys that shit up, then my joke about Tencent is actually true.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a thing. Yikes.
And that's basically the news.
Thank you for listening to us, people.
If EA buys NRS,
game news.
Do we get Commander Shepard in Mortal Kombat?
That's
my favorite map on
my favorite map on the Citadel. If that's not a line, if he winds up in Mortal Kombat, I am disappointed.
It's my favorite fatality in the fighting game, and then he shoots your fucking face off.
Crossover with Goodbye Volcano High
I'm sorry.
on the PlayStation.
She shoots your face off. FemShep is canon.
Is FemShep canon? I don't know.
No, but in my eyes it is.
Which one is canon?
One on the box.
They both are on Mass Effect 3, depending on how you flip the thing.
No canon.
FemShepard's canon. FemShepard's canon because the voice acting is 10 times better.
That is fair. FemShep is the better voice.
Listen, I don't care if it's Fem or not Fem. I just need the Renegade ending of 3 to be canon. That's all I need.
Renegade FemShep canon. Are we out?